Chapter 585. In the end, Yun Jian added, "You must tell the truth or I won't tell you." Yun Jian crossed her arms and tilted her head to look at Gu Junjian. Her half-smile made Gu Junjian, who was suddenly diverted to him, blush. This. Gu Yunjian's reaction confirmed Yun Jian's suspicions. Ce stood beside Yun Jian, leaning close to Yun Jian. At that moment, he was also looking at Gu Junjian with a playful expression. This was his mother-in-law's happiness for the rest of her life. It was not child's play. Ce naturally knew about Qin Yiru's troubled life and the hardships Qin Yiru had gone through in the past. He could feel her care for Qin Yiru and her love for Qin Yiru. Ce was not blind. When he was in Xinjiang town, he had naturally seen the interaction between Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru. Two people's mutual interest was a kind of fate. Under Yun Jian's interrogative gaze, Gu Yunjian's face turned red. In the end, under Yun Jian and Ce's intense gazes, Gu Junjian said embarrassedly, "My relationship with Yiru." "Sigh, Yun Jian. You know that I'm a married man. Although I haven't spent much time with Yiru, I feel that we're getting along quite well, so it's meaningful, isn't it?" Yun Jian suddenly interrupted Gu Junjian. Yun Jian did not mind the fact that Gu Junjian was a married man. After all, her mother was a married woman too. If Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru were both married twice, then many conflicts would be nipped in the bud. Moreover, Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru had quite a tacit understanding. Yun Jian did not wish for Qin Yiru to spend the rest of her life alone. She also hoped that Qin Yiru could find a partner who would treat her well. Obviously, Gu Junjian was a responsible man. Although he was in the military and did not have much free time, he would never gamble, be a loan shark, and steal women like Yun Gang. Gu Junjian was speechless at Yun Jian's words, but he still nodded, his face red. "I agree," Yun Jian suddenly said when Gu Junjian was blushing. Then, as if she was marrying off her daughter, Yun Jian said earnestly, "Officer, although you're my officer now, but if you want to be with my mother, you must treat her well. Otherwise, I won't let you go." Hearing Yun Jian's words, Gu Junjian quickly raised his head and looked straight at Yun Jian. His attitude seemed sincere, but there was a hint of joy in it. "Yun Jian, don't worry. Who am I, Gu Junjian? I swear to you if I, Gu Junjian, treat Yiru badly, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." "All right, I understand." Yun Jian continued to smile. Gu Junjian was aware of his feelings for Qin Yiru. On the other hand, Qin Yiru actually did not know how she felt about Gu Junjian. After all, they had only known each other for a short time. However, what Qin Yiru did not know was that she had been sold by her own daughter. When Yun Jian changed the topic, Gu Junjian instantly forgot his initial purpose. Fortunately, Yun Jian did not want to go back on her words. She then began to explain the topic Gu Junjian was talking about earlier. "Regarding your question just now, I'm sorry, but I can only tell you one thing. I'm indeed not the real Yun Jian. I don't know where she went either. But you can rest assured, Officer Gu. If I have any bad intentions toward my mother, I'll die without a place to hide." Gu Junjian frowned at Yun Jian's promise, but he soon relaxed. Chapter 586. Yun Jian only swore because ever since her rebirth, Qin Yiru had become the most important person to her. She would never do anything to hurt Qin Yiru because in her heart, she had already treated Qin Yiru as her own mother. In her previous life, she was abducted at the age of 5 and lived till the age of 16. However, she had never experienced a mother's embrace. Legend had it that a mother's love was great and selfless. Unfortunately, she had never experienced it before. However, after her rebirth, she experienced a mother's love and Qin Yiru's care. Even if Qin Yiru did not directly tell her, "Baby, I love you," or anything like that. However, from the little things that happened in her daily life, she could tell that Qin Yiru cared for her. Although Yun Jian was a secret agent in her previous life, she had even killed her best friend in order to survive. However, she was not a heartless person. She treated Qin Yiru, Yun Yi, and Xiao Yunju equally. They were her most beloved family members and the only ones she had now. However, she did not expect that Ce would take her oath seriously. However, the truth was that what Ce said earlier had indeed warmed Yun Jian's heart. "Don't spout nonsense." Yun Jian retracted her hand from Ce's grasp with a blushing face. Yun Jian looked at Gu Junjian again with her slightly flushed cheeks and said, Officer Gu, I'll have to trouble you to take care of me in the army in the future. I'm just Yun Jian and I hope that you'll treat me the same way you treat Team Monarch. Yun Jian did not want to be treated differently after Gu Junjian found out about her identity. She joined the army to improve her skills, not to be treated differently by Gu Junjian after they found out about her identity. Gu Yunjian's face stiffened when he saw Si Yi's actions. However, Gu Yunjian's mental fortitude was strong. Gu Junjian acted as if nothing had happened. He nodded to Yun Jian and said, Well, don't worry about that. Even if you are the king of heaven, I, Gu Junjian, will train you according to the rules of the army. Gu Junjian said this very seriously. Of course, Gu Junjian was never one for pleasantries. To Gu Junjian, even though Yun Jian was slaying God, since she had joined his army, she would have to undergo military training like the other members without exception. This was Gu Yunjian's principle. Yes. Yun Jian nodded slightly. Her tender cheeks were as red as a big red apple. Then Yun Jian, I'll take my leave first. Sensing Si Yi's murderous gaze, Gu Junjian pursed his lips. He suddenly felt as if he was a third wheel and felt uncomfortable all of a sudden. Hence, Gu Junjian quickly said, Okay. Yun Jian obviously did not know why Gu Junjian wanted to leave the base first. She nodded slightly and watched as Gu Junjian walked out of the north gate of the base. Outside the base, the people from an Hun group had retreated. Chapter 587. What are you doing? Yun Jian was forcefully held in Si Yi's arms. Her face was pressed against his chest, and her cheeks were as red as an apple. Si Yi smiled. If they weren't in the Inferno Ring's base, and not in a place filled with corpses, he would have kissed her. I can't help but want to eat you up and make you stay by my side forever. Yun Jian couldn't see Si Yi's handsome face, but Yun Jian could hear his magnetic and seductive voice clearly. Ba-dump ba-dump. Yun Jian could even hear her own heartbeat. Her heart was trembling. Yun Jian opened her small red lips, but no words came out. Si Yi's words made her feel bitter, but she couldn't help but feel happy. What was wrong with her? Young master, I've already contacted the Kosha mercenaries' higher-ups, Snake, Lizard. The remaining forces of the Inferno Ring have already been wiped out by the Kosha mercenaries. The Inferno Ring has been completely destroyed, you. At this moment, Adam's untimely voice came from the door. Adam had just left Tiny Island when he received Snake, Lizard's report before he could go far. The remaining forces of the Inferno Ring had been completely wiped out. Hearing this news, Adam hurried back here, wanting to immediately inform their young master of this news. But he didn't expect to see such an erotic scene the moment he entered the door. Si Yi's tall and broad body was hugging Yun Jian's petite and beautiful body. Although the two of them were dressed neatly, Adam could see that something wasn't right. Adam was so scared that he immediately realized that something was wrong. He quickly turned around and said softly, Young master, you're busy. I'll take the people in the organization and leave first. Stop. Si Yi's voice came from behind. Adam felt that he was going to fall in front of Yun Jian for the rest of his life. Not daring to turn around, Adam spoke softly. Young master, do you have any other orders? Let's go back to an Hun organization together. Si Yi loosened his grip on Yun Jian. He lowered his head and glanced at Yun Jian. His first sentence was directed at Adam. After Si Yi let go of Yun Jian's hand, he said to Yun Jian, I'll go back to an Hun first, I'll look for you tomorrow. After saying that, he took another deep look at Yun Jian, reached out his hand to hold Yun Jian's hand, and walked out. Yun Jian's hand was held, and she didn't refuse. Her red cheeks were pink and tender. It wasn't until Yun Jian, Gu Junjian, and the others left Taipei Island that Si Yi continued to say, I'm leaving first. You go back to China first. We can't go back today. It's night time now, the cruise ship isn't sailing. I've already sent someone to book the tickets for tomorrow's cruise back to China, Gu Junjian interjected. By the time they reached Country S, it was already 6 or 7 in the evening. The cruise ship back to Country Z would only sail during the day, so they could only stay here for the night. Si Yi nodded. He glanced at Yun Jian a few more times before turning to jump into the private helicopter that Adam had prepared. Adam piloted the helicopter and quickly left with Si Yi. Seeing that, Gu Junjian didn't stay any longer. He brought Yun Jian and the others back to Country S's pier. They weren't in a hurry to find a hotel. Instead, they paraded along the streets near Country S's pier. Country S is one of the richest countries in the world. I've always wanted to visit this place. An advanced Special Forces soldier exclaimed in surprise. Me too, someone immediately chimed in. It was inevitable that Yun Jian, a girl, would attract attention when she walked with over 100 men. Chapter 588. Country S was one of the wealthiest countries in the world. However, Country S's overall military strength was the most outdated in the world. Why was that? If someone were to ask how wealthy Country S was, the answer would be that they were so poor that all they had was money. Even beggars drove sports cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. In fact, Country S was truly an oil kingdom. Both its oil reserves and production were ranked first in the world, making it one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Because Country S had the innate ability to produce oil, Country S's main income came from selling oil. In fact, before oil was discovered in S country, it was just a very poor country. However, ever since oil was discovered and excavated, it quickly became a country that relied on its geographical advantage to survive. However, this was only temporary. Sooner or later, these blessings of God would be used up. Country S was the only country in the world that did not allow women to get a driver's license. Hence, women's status in Country S was not high. Country S was a feudal country through and through, and the ruler was the king of Country S. It was said that in Country S, if you wanted to determine which family was the wealthiest, you just had to look at the number of living trees in front of their house. Because here, people did not pump water from the surface of the earth. Instead, they pumped oil. Here, whoever bought the most water would be considered as the wealthiest. The advanced Special Forces soldier who had said that he had wanted to visit Country S for a long time had been introducing Country S's history and current status and development along the way. It was obvious that he was very interested in this. After Yun Jian and the rest had finished touring the streets of Country S, they went to a hotel early to rest. The next day, they took the cruise back to Country Z. It was only when they returned to Country Z that they felt like they were in a dream. It was as if everything that had happened in the Inferno Ring did not exist. However, it clearly existed. When they returned to Country Z, they represented their military and joined forces with the Kosha mercenaries and in Hun to destroy the internationally renowned Inferno Ring. With this, the reputation of the military in Jia province would definitely soar. However, no one knew that the Inferno Ring had been destroyed. However, in less than 2 days, the news would spread all over the world, and this group of ASF soldiers led by Gu Junjian would become the target of recruitment organizations all over the world. The group of people happily returned to the military training camp. This group of people did not include Xiao Weiming, Yu Fengqing, and the others. Everyone knew that Xiao Weiming, Yu Fengqing, and the others were not on good terms with Yun Jian. Yun Jian's identity, on the other hand, was enough to shock anyone. After riding 5 buses back to the military training camp, before Yun Jian even got off the bus, she saw 3 figures standing at the entrance of the military training camp from afar. They were Officer Bao, Coach Su, and Ai Guoxuan from F province. Looking straight at Ai Guoxuan's smug expression, it was as if he had found out something incredible. Just as Yun Jian and Gu Junjian got off the bus, Ai Guoxuan walked over with Officer Bao and Coach Su. I'm sorry. The people sent by the Inferno Ring are too powerful. I joined forces with the Kosha mercenaries to capture them, but they still managed to escape, Officer Bao said to Yun Jian guiltily. Yun Jian raised a brow. Ha ha ha. Gu Junjian, what are you trying to show off for? You failed the mission, didn't you? You're dreaming if you think you can annihilate Inferno Ring. Ai Guoxuan said smugly. It was obvious that Ai Guoxuan was here to boast. Chapter 589. Haha, I knew it. How could you guys? What did you say? You've wiped out Inferno Ring? How's that possible? Ai Guoxuan's exuberant voice stopped abruptly. How's that possible? That's Inferno Ring. That's Inferno Ring. How could you guys wipe them out? Ai Guoxuan was unrepentant as he stared at Yun Jian and Gu Junjian in fear, suddenly realizing something. Gu Junjian had indeed led his men to wipe out Inferno Ring. But now, none of the 10 teams of advanced special forces Gu Junjian had led away had suffered any casualties? AI Guoxuan pointed his finger at Gu Junjian immediately and said arrogantly, "Humph, don't think I don't know. Gu Junjian, do you think you can fool me? Don't forget that I'm an advanced special forces officer too." "Haha, you said you've wiped out Inferno Ring, but why didn't anyone suffer any casualties? Don't tell me you're all made of steel. I don't believe that." AI Guoxuan's words sounded reasonable. After all, Inferno Ring was an assassin organization second only to Han and Kosha mercenaries. Even with Han and Kosha mercenaries' help, Gu Junjian and his men could not have suffered no casualties, could they? AI Guoxuan, my army doesn't welcome you. Think whatever you want, but please go back to F province now. Gu Junjian was enraged once he heard AI Guoxuan's words, reprimanding AI Guoxuan in return. AI Guoxuan's heart skipped a beat at Gu Junjian's reaction. After all, Gu Junjian had been his enemy for years, but he had never lost his temper out of the blue. On the other hand, Gu Junjian was enraged because AI Guoxuan had asked his subordinates why they didn't suffer any casualties. Did AI Guoxuan mean that there should be casualties among the 10 teams of advanced special forces? Gu Junjian was enraged. "Haha, do you think I want to join your army? I'm leaving now. Gu Junjian, I'll be waiting to see you make a fool of yourself." AI Guoxuan sneered at Gu Junjian before turning to leave in a huff. No one asked AI Guoxuan to stay as he walked away. After all, AI Guoxuan's words earlier had pissed everyone off. What AI Guoxuan had done was truly detestable. After AI Guoxuan left, Yunjian shifted her gaze to Officer Bao and continued, "The man sent by Inferno Ring is powerful. It's not your fault that you didn't catch him." "Yes, that man is very strong. Even when I worked with the Kosha mercenaries, we couldn't catch him." Officer Bao was still feeling a little guilty, but he still gave a brief description of the situation. "Burly and stocky? Does he look strong like he has an endless supply of energy?" Yunjian arched a brow and stared straight at Officer Bao, asking in a tone that sounded like a question but more like a confirmation. "That's right, how did you know? You weren't there at the time. That man was very strong, and many of us were injured. A group of people tried to subdue him, but he managed to escape in the end," Officer Bao said. There was a hint of guilt in his voice. "Tai Jin Gang." Yunjian narrowed her eyes, her gaze murderous. "What?" Everyone present was confused. Chapter 590. Yunjian was also surprised that the Inferno Ring would send a big shot like Tai Jin Gang to save Hertz's group. After all, Job himself was very weak. The Inferno Ring had always been under Job's control and had not been destroyed or replaced by others because of Tai Jin Gang. More importantly, Tai Jin Gang was the mysterious man that Job had mentioned. This made Yunjian furious. She wanted to kill Tai Jin Gang. But now was not the time. Tai Jin Gang had escaped, and after knowing that the Inferno Ring had been destroyed, Tai Jin Gang would never return to the Inferno Ring. In other words, Job was dead, but her brother's death had not been avenged. According to the dead Job, Yunjian found out that the mysterious man and Tai Jin Gang were most likely from the Yulong continent. Just like Lan Su, they had come out of the stone cave in the ancient tomb. Speaking of the stone cave that led to another world, perhaps the stone cave could deter countless powerful masters in the world, but it could not stop people from the Yulong continent from coming here. Yunjian had heard from Lan Su that there were not many people as powerful as Lan Su in the Yulong continent. But it was not difficult to pass through the stone cave. Lan Su had said that the stone cave, which was the transportation portal from Earth to the Yulong continent, was created by the Divine Lord. When the Divine Lord created the stone cave and stone door, he did not set any difficult barriers. As long as one could pass through the arrow of the stone cave, one could travel back and forth between the two worlds. Hearing Yunjian say that the mysterious man was Tai Jin Gang, the top figure in the Inferno Ring, Officer Bao and Coach Su shivered. Tai Jin Gang of the Inferno Ring was not ranked internationally, but Officer Bao and Coach Su had heard of his name. He was a terrifying existence that killed without batting an eyelid. Officer Bao and the others were not killed when they confronted him. Although a few of them were injured, none of them died. At that moment, Officer Bao felt as if he had just escaped death. After recovering from the shock, Officer Bao and Coach Su bade farewell to Yunjian and Gu Junjian. Officer Bao and Coach Su had come to explain the situation to Yunjian and Gu Junjian. Now that they had said their piece, they did not stay any longer. Yun Jian and Gu Junjian did not stay any longer either. Yun Jian reminded Officer Bao to be careful in case Tai Jingang came to find them. Officer Bao gave them a friendly gesture and left. Yun Jian, come with me. After the advanced Gu Junjian and Yun's orders, Gu Junjian then led Yun Jian to Team Monarch's training ground. From a distance's eyes, the Jingang, the ring. Look, Yun Jian and Officer Gu are back safe and sound. I told you, it's just the Inferno ring. Heh, my Yun Jianer and our brave and heroic Officer Gu Junjian won't fail. Chu Ning was the first to run over. Yun Jian, how is it? I was so worried. Right, why are you guys back so soon? Chu Xiangnan ran behind Chu Ning and asked Yun Jian with Chu Ning between them. The 6 of them stood up one after another. Inferno ring has been annihilated successfully. Yun Jian smiled. All right, Inferno ring has been completely annihilated. It's all thanks to Yun Jian. Gu Junjian chuckled before he relayed the latest notification from his superior that he had received from his phone. Chapter 591. Gu Junjian was the latest to receive the news and he was stunned when he first read it. Military schools were places where the country focused on nurturing military talents. At the same time, the cutoff for enrolling in a military school was quite high. Yun Jian's 7-member Team Monarch could be considered Gu Junjian's superior to have opened the channel and sent them in directly. Gu Junjian paused and turned his gaze to Yun Jian. He said to Yun Jian, you're in your 3rd year of middle school now. The lowest grade in a military school is the high school section. You'll have to wait until you're done with your 3rd year of middle school exams and enroll in your 1st year of high school. It was a helpless move. After all, Gu Junjian's superior had already arranged for the 7 members of Team Monarch to enroll in a military school. In a place like a military school, the lowest grade was the high school section. Among the 7 members of Team Monarch, Yun Jian was the youngest. In comparison, other than Yun Jian, the other 6 members were already in high school. Chu Xiangnan, Lu Shiyun, and the others were already in university. They were considered to have transferred to a military school directly. However, Yun Jian would only be in the 2nd semester of her 3rd year of middle school when school reopened after the new year. Once she was done with her 3rd year of middle school, she could enroll in a military school directly from high school. Yun Jian nodded. Enrolling in a military school was not a problem for her. Moreover, enrolling in a military school would allow her to improve her skills better. Why would she not do it? However, due to her lack of age and grade, Yun Jian was not in a hurry to enroll in a military school. Although Gu Junjian was aware of Yun Jian's identity, he treated everyone equally. He could not possibly forbid Yun Jian from enrolling in a military school just because Yun Jian was strong. However, Yun Jian's grade was not up to the standard and there was nothing he could do about it. The moment Gu Junjian finished his announcement, Chu Ning and the others were overjoyed. As soon as school started, they would be able to transfer to the same school, and it would be a military school. That's great! Our Team Monarch can go to the same school but Yun Jian can't go yet. But don't worry, Yun Jian can come in half a year's time. Chu Ning clapped her hands excitedly, overjoyed. That's right. Half a year later, Team Monarch will be able to gather at the military academy. Hee, we'll be invincible. Chu Xiangnan quickly chimed in with Chu Ning. Yun Jian only pursed her lips slightly. The members of Team Monarch were now united as one, heart to heart. How could Yun Jian not want to see such beauty? Everyone wanted to see the beauty of life. By the way, Officer Gu, what's the name of the military academy that we're going to study in? Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan were excited for a long time before they turned to look at Gu Junjian. You'll know when you get there. Gu Junjian kept them in suspense. Officer Gu, is the location of the military academy in Longmen City? Lu Shiyun asked seriously. Gu Junjian replied, no, but it's in Jia province. It's in Min City, about 2 to 3 hours drive away from Longmen City. Oh! The group grew even more excited at the mention of going on a long trip. Young children yearned to go on a long trip because it was far away from home. Once they were far away from home, their parents would not be able to control them and they could do whatever they wanted. However, children who went on a long trip would miss home and parents. Gu Junjian sent them home after informing them of the news. Gu Junjian was the last to send Yunjian home because he wanted to shamelessly go to Yunjian's house again. Gu Junjian drove Yunjian back to Xinjiang town in the jeep. From afar, Yunjian saw Lan Su playing hide-and-seek with Xiao Yunju with a piece of white gauze over his eyes. Chapter 592. It was a happy chuckle. Gu Junjian drove the jeep and parked it at the entrance. Xiao Yunju was still playing hide-and-seek with Lan Su when his beady eyes caught the familiar jeep driving over. He ran over happily. "Jie Lan Su. Hurry up. My Jie's back. Uncle Ji's back too." As he spoke, Xiao Yunju was already sprinting over to Yunjian and Gu Junjian with his short legs. "Jie, Uncle Gu, where's Si Gij?" Xiao Yunju grabbed Yunjian's hand and called out energetically. "Your Si Gij isn't here yet," Yunjian answered. Two silhouettes came out of the house at the same time. It was Qin Yiru. Qin Yiru was carrying a lot of things while Yun Yi was following behind Qin Yiru. "Xiao Jian, you're back? Officer Gu, you're here too?" "I was planning to go back to Longmen City." Qin Yiru put down the things quickly and wiped her dirty hands on her pants while looking at Gu Junjian. Qin Yiru came over to greet him. "Gu Junjian, do you want to come in and have a seat?" Qin Yiru was planning to catch the last bus back to Longmen City in the afternoon. She had stayed at Zhang Meihua's house for too long after all. Zhang Meihua's house was actually her brother's home. Her brother had a family now and Qin Yiru had stayed here for a long time. She planned to go back to Longmen City. "It's okay." Gu Junjian went over to help Qin Yiru carry the things before changing his mind. "I'm going back to Longmen City as well. I'll bring you guys back since it's on the way." "How can I accept that?" Qin Yiru was still very polite. After all, Gu Junjian was not related to her at all. Why would he help her? "Why are you embarrassed? Hurry up," Gu Junjian said as he helped Qin Yiru to carry the things into his jeep. Qin Yiru nodded and smiled. She did not reject his good intentions. Her impression of Gu Junjian had improved by quite a bit. Zhang Meihua did not seem to be at home at this time, so Gu Junjian sent Qin Yiru, Yun Yi, Xiao Yunju, Lan Su, and Yunjian back to Longmen City. After returning to Longmen City, Lan Su left. Her previous mission was only to protect Qin Yiru and the others. Gu Junjian carried all of Qin Yiru's belongings to Dong Ruan's villa personally. Dong Ruan was already out of the province by now. She was only free these few days, so she had left the province to visit her relatives outside the province. It was the end of the year. Yunjian planned to visit Qin Yu's house with Yun Yi tomorrow morning. After all, they had planned to visit on the 12th of the new year due to the incident, but it was delayed again and again. Yunjian slept on the big bed that she had stayed in for a long time. Returning to Dong Ruan's house in Longmen City from Xinjiang town, she was at peace as she smelled the familiar scent on the bed. Si's room was right next to hers, but Si was not there at the moment. It was strange. Why was she missing him again? Shaking her head, she dismissed the thought. Suddenly, Yunjian's door was pushed open from the outside. After locking the door, the person climbed onto her bed at lightning speed. Yunjian's door was locked. She frowned and was about to make a move when a familiar scent wafted into her nose. Even if it was pitch black, she could still clearly feel his presence. "Why are you back?" Yunjian was surprised. Did he not say that he would be back tomorrow? "Because I miss you." Si hugged Yunjian tightly. Suddenly, a series of knocks came from the door. It was followed by Xiao Yunju's complaining voice. "Mama Qin, Xiao Zhu went to pee just now and really saw a burglar running into Jie's room. He went in with a swoosh. Will Jie be in danger?" Chapter 593. The sudden noise at the door made Yunjian's eyelid twitch. Under the blanket, Si was still hugging her close. His fresh and pleasant scent filled her nostrils, giving her a sense of contentment and refreshment. "Xiao Jian." Qin Yiru, who was outside the house, turned the doorknob. She panicked when she saw that the door was locked from the inside. Especially when Xiao Yunju told her that he had seen a shadow running into his sister's room when he went to the toilet to pee. The child was innocent and would never lie, so Qin Yiru was terrified. Her villa was not in the bustling city center. What if there was a thief here? Especially when her daughter was still a virgin. Qin Yiru knew that Yunjian was skilled in martial arts and that she was training in the military with Gu Junjian, so she must be quite capable. However, Mothers were always worried about their children. Qin Yiru was no exception. Xiao Zhu, go back to sleep first. Mommy Qin will look for the key to unlock the door. Qin Yiru thought that something had happened when she failed to wake Yun Jian up. She quickly carried Xiao Yunju back to the room and went to Dong Ruan's room to search for all the keys to the villa. Yun Jian's bedroom. Hearing Qin Yiru's footsteps running out, she blushed. Qin Yiru had gone to look for the key, which meant that the door would be unlocked later even if she stayed in bed without making a sound. Get up now. Yun Jian sat up and pushed Ce hard. In spite of it, Ce refused to let go of her like he was made of steel. No, he uttered slowly with his chin pressed against Yun Jian's head. Ce had rushed back to an Hun group in a hurry, and had Adam send him back to Longmen City with a helicopter in the middle of the night. A permit was required to fly a helicopter in the country, but Adam and Mo Sen had already taken care of it. Once he was back in Longmen City, Ce went home to look for Yun Jian. An Hun group had connections in Longmen City as well. A simple check would reveal that Yun Jian and Qin Yiru had returned to Longmen City from Xinjiang town. Leave now. If my mom sees us, we won't be able to clear our names even if we jump into the Yellow River. Yun Jian sat up straight while Ce pressed against her. She nudged Ce but Ce was unmoved. Isn't that perfect? Ce arched a brow, looking devilishly charming under the moonlight. But to Yun Jian's eyes was looking like he was asking for a beating. You're not leaving? Our relationship ends here then, Yun Jian threatened softly with a twitch of her lips, but it was obvious that she was not serious. End here? Xiao Jian, you're mine for the rest of your life. Do you still want to escape from me? Ce hooked Yun Jian onto the bed and pounced on her. Qin Yiru's footsteps came from the door. It was obvious that she had found the key to the room. Ce was pouncing on Yun Jian on the bed like he was on top of her. Yun Jian's eyes widened as she raised her leg to kick Ce, only to be held down by his thigh. Xiao Jian, if you move again, I'll make you mine completely right now, Ce said softly, his breathing heavier. Ce and Yun Jian's movements were soft, so Qin Yiru who was outside the door could not hear them at all. Qin Yiru had already inserted the key into the lock in a panic. Chapter 594. Qin Yiru opened the door and walked into the house, sensing an unusual aura. She frowned suspiciously but it was pitch black inside the house. The light from the corridor shone into the house but it was only a small ray of light. Xiao Jian. Qin Yiru walked over with a frown to switch on the lights. The pure white light illuminated the entire house. Qin Yiru went to the bed and saw Yun Jian was sleeping soundly on the bed. Other than that, there was nothing out of the ordinary. That was impossible. Was Xiao Yunju really mistaken? Qin Yiru did not wake Yun Jian up. Yun Jian's heavy breaths were obvious that she was fast asleep. Only someone who was exhausted during the day would breathe so heavily, so Qin Yiru did not want to wake her up. Qin Yiru stepped back quietly when she saw that Yun Jian was fast asleep. Worried that there was really a thief in the house, she searched the cupboards and other places in the house. Looks like I've been overthinking. Xiao Zhu can be mistaken too. He's still a kid after all, Qin Yiru mumbled to herself softly. She then went to the door to switch off the light switch in the house. Qin Yiru turned to look again and suddenly realized that the window beside Yun Jian's bed was still open. The curtains fluttered slightly in the chilly winter night breeze. This kid. He even forgot to close the window when he was sleeping. Qin Yiru was satisfied yet helpless. Shaking her head lightly, she stopped turning off the light switch and went to the window. Qin Yiru did not know that a pair of fair, slender, and well-defined hands were hanging on the wall outside the window. If there was someone outside the mansion and it was broad daylight, that person would be able to see Ce's 1.85 meters tall frame hanging on the wall with one hand hanging there easily. If there was someone else, they would probably be screaming in fright. Adam and Mo Sen would probably be screaming if they saw it. How dare our young master do such a perverted thing for a woman? Qin Yiru felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. She stuck her head out of the window and peered down. When she did not see anyone, she finally closed the door and windows in relief before switching off the light switch in Yun Jian's room and locking it after closing the door. She locked it this time because Qin Yiru was afraid that if there was really a thief, the thief would enter Xiao Jian's bedroom directly from outside the house. What she did not know was that her locking of the door had increased the thief's theft. It was only when Qin Yiru closed the door that Yun Jian woke up from her pretending to be asleep. She realized that Qin Yiru had gone to close the window while Ce was hiding outside. She thought about it and got up to find a pair of slippers under the bed to go to the window. Just as she was about to open the window, she remembered that Ce had refused to leave and hugged her tightly. Just when she thought that Qin Yiru was going to find out, he had blinked out of the window. Thinking about it, Yunjian decided not to let Ce into her room. However, considering that he would catch a cold outside, she could not help shouting out the window worriedly, "Go back to your room, quick. See you tomorrow." With that, Yunjian crawled to her bed in the dark under the moonlight. Just as she did so, she felt the cold wind blowing in from the window behind her. A large and slender figure hugged her instantly. Familiar and alluring words came from behind her. "Xiao Jian, do you think I can't come in just because you locked the window?" "Xiao Jian, call me when you're leaving later," Yuni said and went up the stairs, wiping his sweat. Yun Jian answered. Yun Yi was, of course, referring to Qin Yu's New Year visit. It was then that Xiao Yunju's voice came from the door. "Ce, Gidge, there are so many lollipops and snacks. Are they all for Xiao Zhu?" Chapter 596. Ce and Xiao Yunju walked into the house with a few people following behind them. These people were obviously movers, and at this moment, they were moving box after box of packaged snacks from outside into the house. Yunjian was familiar with the last person to walk in. Wasn't this the owner of the store in Xinjiang town? Yunjian immediately recalled the scene on New Year's Day when Ce bought everything in the store in Xinjiang town in front of everyone. He had emptied the store of all the items. At that time, Ce had handed a bank card to the owner and asked him to pack up everything in the store and send it home. He would then return the bank card to him. Clearly, the owner had fulfilled his promise and sent all the things in the store over in trucks today. The items that the owner sent over were all snacks. Some daily necessities and other miscellaneous items in the store were not sent over. The owner walked into the house and checked the items. Then, under Xiao Yunju's expectant gaze, he returned the bank card to Ce and said to Ce, "I've already spent the money. I won't charge you even if you pay me 10 times the price. I only want the retail price. I, Old Wang, am upright and honest. I've always been magnanimous. I don't want more money from you. Also, I don't think you guys need the other things in the store, so I didn't pack them all up. These snacks should be enough to last you for a while." The owner explained. Actually, when Ce said that he wanted to buy everything in the store for 10 times the price, the owner was very shocked. However, the owner was never someone who liked to take advantage of others. He did not want more money from Ce. Okay. Ce admired the owner's integrity. He did not poke at the owner's integrity and took back the bank card. After the owner sent the piles of snacks over, he did not stay for long and left after saying goodbye. When the shop owner left, he took away the movers who came to move the things. Once the owner left, Xiao Yunju shouted happily, "Oh! Yay yay yay, so many lollipops, so many potato chips, brother Ce is the best." Xiao Yunju shook Ce's hand and rushed to the snacks. "You can't eat too much snacks. They're not nutritious. Xiao Zhu, you can only eat 3 things a day. You can't skip the main course just because you have snacks." Yunjian couldn't help but remind him. Okay. Yunju hugged the 3 packets of chips in his arms obediently and nodded, shaking them up and down. In fact, Xiao Yunju was very obedient. "It's time for breakfast. Wash your hands. Breakfast is ready." Qin Yiru walked out of the kitchen while rubbing her hands. However, as soon as she walked out, Qin Yiru was surprised by the boxes of snacks in front of her. "Ah, so many snacks. Who bought them?" Qin Yiru was shocked. "Mama Qin, Ce, Gidge bought them for me." Xiao Yunju had already opened a bag of chips and was chewing on them noisily. "Ae, you're spending money again. Look at these snacks. Xiao Zhu can't finish them all." Qin Yiru smiled awkwardly. Qin Yiru did not know that Ce had bought everything in Xinjiang town, nor did she know about the relationship between Ce and Yunjian, which was why she felt awkward. After all, Xiao Yunju was part of her family and Ce had done so much for him. Chapter 597. Qin Yiru was dumbfounded when Gu Junjian arrived. That was odd. Why was it that Officer Gu did not have much to do in the military? Why did he keep coming to her house? In spite of it, Qin Yiru kept a smile on her face. Since he was a guest, she could not chase him away. We haven't started yet. Come over quickly, Officer Gu. Yun Jian waved with squinted eyes. Gu Junjian knew that Yun Jian was creating an opportunity for him right away, so he went over quickly and said politely, "Then I'll have to trouble you." Qin Yiru, who had yet to make a decision, was speechless. It was only when Qin Yiru snapped out of it that she ran to the kitchen to get another set of cutlery for Gu Junjian. Then, the group buried themselves in the food. Yun Jian and her family were basically silent during the meal. After breakfast, Yun Jian and Yun Yi were ready to depart to Qing Yu's house to give their New Year's greetings. "Jejia, I want to go to Qing Yu, Jejia's house to play too," Xiao Yunju said with a grin as he rubbed his tummy playfully and burped. "Xiao Jian, if there's nothing else, it's good to bring Xiao Zhu out for a walk. Otherwise, he'll be bored staying at home all day," Qin Yiru chimed in. "Okay." Yun Jian nodded. She was going to Qing Yu's house to give her New Year's greetings as well as to have fun. Since she had nothing to do, she could bring Xiao Yunju with her and take him out for a stroll and sightsee. It was because Qing Yu's house was quite far from Longmen City. They had to cross provinces to reach it from Zhe Province's Longmen City. "Hee, Jejia's the best." Xiao Yunju glanced at Yun Jian with a grin, his face bobbing up and down in delight. "If Xiao Zhu goes, I'll go too," Ce interjected. Her words were irrefutable. Before Yun Jian could say anything, Xiao Yunju, who had been bought over by Ce, laughed and clapped. "Brother Ce is going too. That's great. Awesome." Yun Jian was speechless, but she smiled knowingly. Qin Yiru cleaned up the bowls and chopsticks, and Gu Junjian helped to clean up and carry them to the kitchen. In the end, Qin Yiru reminded Yun Jian good-naturedly, "Xiao Jian, be careful when you guys go out. There are a lot of bad guys out there. Don't get fooled. Xiao Yi, you guys are the oldest here. Take good care of Xiao Jian and Xiao Zhu." "Auntie, don't worry. I'll take good care of Xiao Jian and Xiao Zhu." Ce turned to Qin Yiru with a glimmer in his eyes. Ce paused when he said, "Xiao Jian." The meaning of "take care" was different. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, did not realize anything. "I'm relieved with A's promise." Qin Yiru smiled. By the time the bowls and chopsticks were cleared, Yun Jian and her friends had already left. Xiao Yunju even carried a small backpack, saying that they should not forget to do the homework assigned by the school teachers every day even when they were traveling. After Yun Jian and her friends left the house, Qin Yiru filled a basin with water and started mopping the floor. When she saw that Gu Junjian was still there, she suddenly remembered that Xiao Zhu had left as well. Was it not just her and Gu Junjian left under the roof? Just as she thought about it, Qin Yiru accidentally knocked the mop into the basin. With a splash, the water in the basin splashed out. "Ah!" Qin Yiru yelped in fright and slipped, stepping on the water that had spilled out of the basin, causing her to fall backward. "Watch out!" Gu Junjian dashed over from a dozen meters away. He was in his 40s but his physique was still strong. Chapter 598. Ouch! Qin Yiru fell hard on the ground. She had already closed her eyes, waiting for the intense pain when her heavy body landed on the ground. But who would have thought that the moment she landed on the ground, she did not feel any pain at all. It was as if she had fallen on a meat cushion. Meat cushion? Where did this meat cushion come from? Gu Junjian let out a heavy groan from her back. Qin Yiru quickly stood up. Just as she turned around, she saw that Gu Junjian had fallen on the ground and used himself as a meat cushion for her. Her eyes suddenly flashed. She quickly stood up and turned around. "Officer Gu, what are you doing?" Qin Yiru was shocked. She quickly ran over to help Gu Junjian up. "Hey, I'm fine. I'm still healthy. It's not a problem," Gu Junjian said stubbornly. Then, he knocked on his back where Qin Yiru was lying on and asked Qin Yiru, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" I'm fine," Qin Yiru said and turned around. If Gu Junjian looked carefully, he could even see that Qin Yiru's eyes were filled with tears. Qin Yiru did this because she was touched. Although her son and daughter were filial, they could not stay by her side all the time. Gu Junjian was not related to her, but he would rather protect her than get hurt. Qin Yiru was very touched. Very touched. She even felt that if Yun Gang had treated her 1/10 as well as Gu Junjian, she might have been able to spend the rest of her life with Yun Gang. Don't cry. What's wrong? Gu Junjian naturally realized that Qin Yiru was carrying him. Her tears fell down. He was so shocked that his face froze. He was at a loss. No, it's nothing. Officer Gu, I suddenly thought of my ex-husband. If my ex-husband could be even 1/10 as good as you, I would be willing to spend the rest of my life with him. Qin Yiru's eyes were brimming with tears. Am I that good? I'm not as good as you say. If I were that good, my ex-wife wouldn't have divorced me. Gu Junjian was shocked. Then, he felt a little sad after hearing what Qin Yiru said. Officer Gu, don't talk about yourself like that. In the eyes of us women, you are the best husband. Your ex-wife didn't have foresight. Otherwise, how could she leave you, who is so outstanding? If it were me, I wouldn't leave you even if you beat me to death. Since they had talked about it, Qin Yiru opened her heart and began to talk freely. Then, why don't we get married? Gu Yunjian's next words shocked Qin Yiru. Qin Yiru was stunned for 3 seconds. She finally opened her mouth and said blankly, Officer Gu, please don't joke around. Gu Junjian took the opportunity to hold Qin Yiru's hand and said to Qin Yiru, I'm not joking. We're not young anymore. Our children are growing up soon. If you're willing, let's get married and spend the rest of our lives together. If you don't agree, Gu Junjian, won't force you. Qin Yiru hesitated when she saw the sincerity in Gu Yunjian's eyes. All right, I won't force you. Yiru, think about it. Gu Junjian laughed and became serious again. But I'm serious about this. We've been through this before, even though we haven't known each other for long. I'll wait for your answer. As he spoke, Gu Junjian helped Qin Yiru clean up the water stains on the floor. After he tidied up everything, he bade her farewell and left. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, fell into a deep silence. Honestly, it was not that she did not have feelings for Gu Junjian. Although she and Gu Junjian had not known each other for long, the chemistry between them was unusually good when they chatted with each other. Some people did not need to know each other well, but they were born as if they were old friends who had known each other for decades. Chapter 599. Now that Gu Junjian had divorced his ex-wife and she was divorced from Yun Gang, there was no way she would reconcile with Yun Gang again. Now that there was such a great opportunity before her, of course, she would not miss it. Qin Yiru was someone who had lived half her life and could read people's minds. To Yun Gang and the others, she might be a good tool to earn money, but to Gu Junjian, who was in a high position, he would not gain anything from her. It was apparent that Gu Junjian truly had such intentions. Qin Yiru did not think that she was the kind of person who would cling to power. She did not care how high Gu Yunjian's position was. She really thought that she could get along well with Gu Junjian. Now that Xiao Jian and Xiao Yi were grown up, their children would have to leave sooner or later. Qin Yiru thought that if she were to find a partner in the future, she would have to find someone who was compatible with Gu Junjian. She could not marry someone she was dissatisfied with. It was undeniable that Qin Yiru wanted to agree to Gu Yunjian's suggestion right away. After all, it was not like she had no feelings for Gu Junjian. However, Qin Yiru was afraid that if she agreed, what if Xiao Jian and Xiao Yi did not agree to it? Therefore, Qin Yiru thought that she would ask for Yun Jian and Yun Yi's opinion when they came back. On the other hand, Yun Jian, Yun Yi, Ce, and Xiao Yunju had already stepped out of the house. At the same time, F Province's military training camp. Chief Yuan was Gu Junjian and Ai Guoshuan's commanding officer. He was also F Province's commanding officer, so his position was the same as Zhe Province's commanding officers. Currently, in F Province's military training camp, Chief Yuan had gathered Ai Guoshuan and the other captains of the advanced special forces in his office. Officer Yuan, why did you summon us in such a hurry? Is there a secret mission? A tall and muscular man asked Officer Yuan. In this office, Officer Yuan's position was the highest. Ai Guoshuan, who had rushed here after receiving the notice, was rather confused as well. Officer Yuan was standing on the podium. His dark eyes scanned the audience, and then he said in a serious tone, I heard that our F Province's army was also invited to the mission to eliminate the Inferno Ring. Why didn't you join in the end? Who was the one who came to such a conclusion without consulting me? The group of officers sitting below looked left and right. AI Guoshuan suddenly stepped forward and said, "It's me, it's me." He was the one who rejected Yun Jian's invitation and refused to work with an Han and Kosha mercenaries. Today, it was most likely that the idiot Gu Junjian had brought his men to work with the unreliable organizations like an Han and Kosha mercenaries. In the end, they were all wiped out, right? In any case, he would rather die than believe that Gu Yunjian's army could really wipe out the Inferno Ring. The Inferno Ring has been wiped out. There were 3 batches of men who wiped out the Inferno Ring, and Han and Kosha mercenaries. These 2 organizations were powerful, so the people in the underworld had nothing to say. But there was another group that I didn't expect. They were the 10 teams of advanced special forces led by Zhe Province's Gu Junjian. Right now, Zhe Province's army is famous even internationally, let alone in Z Nation. I heard that our army was invited as well, but you refused to join? AI Guoshuan, oh, AI Guoshuan, how dare you decide on such an important matter without informing me? Chief Yuan pointed at AI Guoshuan and scolded him. Chapter 600. How is it impossible? Chief Yuan yelled and grabbed a handful of newspapers in front of him, smashing it on AI Guoshuan's face. Take a good look. Take a good look. Who doesn't know that Inferno Ring has been annihilated? This has caused a huge uproar internationally. Chief Yuan raised his voice. With that, Gu Yunjian's military gained a great reputation. Even the key international military forces were throwing a football at Gu Yunjian's 10 ASF squads. Even if Gu Yunjian's 10 ASF squads were not that powerful, they had participated in the annihilation of Inferno Ring. With such a thing in place, his future was bound to be limitless. This was what Chief Yuan resented. AI Guoshuan had rejected Yun Jian's invitation for such an important matter. If it were not for Officer Bao who reported it to him, he would probably still be in the dark. AI Guoshuan quickly picked up the newspaper and skimmed through it. His attention was drawn to the bright red words at the top of the page. Shocking! The internationally renowned assassin organization, Inferno Ring, was annihilated by 3 different forces. The eye-catching line of bright red words on the front page made AI Guoshuan's heart skip a beat. Suppressing his shock, AI Guoshuan quickly took the newspaper and read under the bright red words. The officers present could clearly see AI Guoshuan's complexion slowly turning from rosy to pale. How is this possible? Inferno Ring has really been annihilated. AI Guoshuan's hand that held the newspaper trembled violently as he recounted the most terrifying thing in disbelief. The annihilation of Inferno Ring was all because of Yun Jian's words. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was only a member of the advanced special forces. AI Guoshuan, go home and reflect on yourself. Humph. Chief Yuan was pissed off no matter how he looked at AI Guoshuan. He snorted and turned to leave the place. The officers around them avoided AI Guoshuan like he was the plague when they saw Chief Yuan scolding AI Guoshuan. Judging from AI Guoshuan's reaction, it was not hard to imagine how the 7 members of Battling Dragons would react when they found out. Yun Jian, she was close to their age, but what was the truth? Her ability was something that none of them could compare to even if they were to combine their abilities together. On the other hand, Yun Jian, who had just left home while holding Xiao Yunju's hand, brought her brother, Yun Yi, and Ce to New Cruise. Yun Jian did not plan to take the bus to Qing Yu's house. She planned to drive there. Of course, it would be troublesome if she was caught by the traffic police at her age without a driver's license. Therefore, Yun Jian decided not to drive herself. She asked Ce to drive. Ce's Lamborghini only had 2 seats. Actually, it was not limited to just 2 seats. There were back seats in his supercar, but the space was smaller and there was no door at the back. There was only one way to climb to the back seat: step on the front seat and jump to the back. Yun Jian and Xiao Yunju were small in size, so Yun Jian carried Xiao Yunju to the back seat first before hopping onto the back seat herself easily. The back seat was small, but it was enough for Yun Jian and Xiao Yunju. Sis, are we driving to Sis Qing Yu's house? Xiao Yunju tilted his head and asked Yun Jian. Chapter 601. Oh. Xiao Yunju bobbed his head and nodded at once. After Ce and Yun Yi got into the driver's seat, Ce started the engine and the car sped off like a bolt of lightning. Yun Yi was feeling a little uneasy at the moment. He could not help feeling nervous about going to Qing Yu's house and meeting her elders. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was looking forward to it. She had never been to Qing Yu's house, but she knew the address. Qing Yu's house was in Pu Province's Xian City. It was not actually in Xian City but in the countryside near the mountains in Xian City, a place called Luo Village. It was a very poor and desolate place, but it was Qing Yu's home. In her past life, Yun Jian only knew that Qing Yu came from the countryside, but she had never been to Qing Yu's house. Qing Yu was abducted from the countryside. It was said that she was abducted by human traffickers. Qing Yu was not young then and was at the age where she could remember things. Snake. Lizard took a fancy to Qing Yu's talent and taught her the art of poison. Due to her talent, Yun Jian took her in to work for her. When Qing Yu was capable, it was not difficult for her to find her home due to her childhood memories. Before they came, Yun Jian picked out a few items that could be used for New Year's greetings from the pile of snacks sent by the shop owner and brought them along. These items were not actually worth much. If Qing Yu wanted them, she could buy them in bulk with her wealth. In spite of it, Yun Jian knew that the people of Country Z focused on socializing during the new year. Gifts did not need to be expensive as long as there was sincerity. Therefore, Yun Jian did not plan to buy anything that was too expensive. The car took the highway from Longmen City and drove for 7 to 8 hours before they arrived at Xian City. It was a long journey and it took a lot of time to travel from Xian City to Luo Village. It was only when they arrived at Luo Village's entrance that Yun Jian shook Xiao Yunju awake. Jie, have we arrived? Xiao Yunju rubbed his round eyes that had just woken up and asked. Yes. Yun Jian nodded and replied. Since she did not know how to get to Qing Yu's house, Yun Jian asked for the house number first. As for Si Yi's Lamborghini, it was parked at the entrance of Luo Village. Luo Village was not rich. The roads in Luo Village had not been paved yet. Not to mention cement roads, there were potholes everywhere. It was not suitable for driving at all. I don't know where her house is. Let's follow the house number, Yun Jian said as she picked up a box of instant noodles. In this day and age, there were only a few kinds of New Year's gifts. A box of drinks or a box of instant noodles. Rich people would give pecans, and even richer people would give torreya. Yun Jian's petite body had just picked up the box of instant noodles when a pair of fair, bony hands stopped her and directly took the box of instant noodles from Yun Jian's arms with one hand. I'll do it. Si Yi's pleasant voice rang out. He then carried the box of instant noodles with one hand and grabbed Xiao Yunju, who had just woken up, with the other, heading to Luo Village without a word. Yun Jian smirked. Seeing that her brother Yun Yi was also heading to Luo Village with a box of Wangzai milk, she quickly followed. Yun Jian did not know the exact location of Qing Yu's house. She only found it after asking a few passers-by. It was already 5 o'clock. The sun was setting in the west and dusk was approaching. When they found Qing Yu's house, she was squatting in front of a rundown house, sitting on a stool by the door and washing clothes with her delicate hands. She knew how to enjoy life. She was rich, but she came to a place like this to work hard. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She stood between two tall silhouettes and was about to lead Yun Yi and Si Yi there. A group of young boys and girls suddenly walked out of Qing Yu's house. In the middle of the group stood a young girl who looked 90% similar to Qing Yu. Chapter 602. As soon as the girl who resembled Qing Yu finished speaking, the group of young men and women around them burst into laughter. Qing Yu, who was washing clothes at the front yard, was unmoved. The girl was none other than Qing Yu's biological sister from the same father and mother, Lu Qi. Qing Yu's original name was Lu Xian before she was abducted. Qing Yu was only her code name. When Yun Jian saw Qing Yu, she was still washing a big basin of clothes at the front yard. The basin was filled with clothes and there was a washboard beside it. Qing Yu was currently washing a piece of clothing. All four of them could hear Lu Qi's voice. With a frown, Yun Jian led the trio over to her side in quick strides. Get her out. Get out of our house. Get out of our house. It's all her fault that Mom died. It's all her fault. If she wasn't playful back then, she wouldn't have been abducted. Mom wouldn't have died. Yun Jian and the rest were already at the front door when furious curses came from the house. Then, a young man of about 18 or 19 ran out of the house. There was an old man in his 50s or 60s following behind him. The old man dragged the young man who had just cursed out sorrowfully, limping out while tugging on the young man's sleeve. Yun Jian's eyes glinted. She did not know much about Qing Yu's family. Qing Yu had only found her home in the recent 2 years. After she found her home, Qing Yu would return home during every festival, but she would return to the kosher mercenaries soon. Yun Jian did not know much about her, and it was her first time at Qing Yu's house, so she was surprised to see this. "Dad, your leg hasn't recovered yet. How can you walk?" Qing Yu saw the old man tugging on the young man's sleeve as he ran out. She stood up and went to the old man without a word. The old man was none other than Qing Yu's biological father, Lu Tai. He was an authentic farmer. Luo village had no other source of income. Most of the villagers here relied on nature for a living. They would farm and plow the land. After the harvest, they would sell it for money. "Scram, I don't need your hypocrisy." The young man suddenly pushed Qing Yu away and scolded her. Qing Yu was pushed hard. She was used to her steady gait and did not fall to the ground, but her heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. "My Xiaofan." Qing Yu's biological father, Lu Tai, wiped away his tears and walked to Qing Yu. "Brother, I'll call uncle over to judge. This kind of person still dares to stay in our house." "Humph." Lu Qi spat at Qing Yu and said to the young man. Then, she gathered her friends and ran out to look for them. The young man who had cursed earlier was Qing Yu's biological brother, Lu Ziyun. Qing Yu had 3 children. Lu Ziyun was the elder brother, Lu Qi was the elder sister, and Lu Xian was Qing Yu's real name. Lu Tai was Qing Yu's biological father, while Qing Yu's biological mother was no longer alive. Qing Yu was disobedient when she was young. She insisted on going out to play because she was about 7 to 9 years old then. She wanted to play hide-and-seek with her mother but was abducted. Qing Yu's mother saw Qing Yu being abducted into a van. By the time she chased after them, the van had already driven away. Since then, Qing Yu's mother had lost her appetite for food and became haggard. As a mother, Qing Yu's mother and Lu Tai had never given up on searching for their lost daughter. Chapter 603. After Qing Yu went missing, her parents had spent almost all of their fortune to find her. They were poor, but Lu Tai and his wife, who was Qing Yu's mother, had never given up on searching for their missing daughter. Those who had not experienced it would never be able to understand. Seeing a living person disappear forever in his own world, knowing that she was still alive, but there was no one to respond to his cries. The feeling was even worse than knowing that she was dead. Especially if you were captured by human traffickers. You would never know where you would be taken and what you would be done after being captured by human traffickers. Children from Luo village were often abducted. Some might even be taken into the car and driven away. Some of the children who were taken away would have their limbs chopped off, or even their eyes gouged out, making them half-crippled. Then the traffickers would put the crippled children in a lively market and make up a series of stories, so that passers-by would take pity on the crippled children and give them money to them. The children would grow up gradually. Many of the elderly and children begging in the market could not speak and were controlled by the human traffickers. Of course, the pitiful money from begging on the streets would eventually be taken away by the despicable human traffickers. However, if one saw these poor children or elderly on the streets, one must lend a helping hand because 1 yuan or 5 yuan might save them from a brutal beating. This kind of thing happened frequently even in modern times, let alone in 1998 and 1999. What was different was that Qing Yu was abducted directly to the organization. She was lucky enough to survive and was chosen by Snake Lizard instead. She survived due to her talent. Of course, there were only a handful of people who were as lucky as Qing Yu. When Qing Yu's mother heard that someone in the village had seen a girl who looked like Qing Yu kneeling on the road in Xian City, begging blindly, as a mother, she rushed to Xian City without a word. She did not even inform Qing Yu's father, Lu Tai, about it. It was still night then. The sky was dark and it was raining. When she reached Xian City, Qing Yu's mother accidentally stepped on a construction site of a sewer in her haste. The construction workers probably thought that no one would walk around at night, so they did not even put up a warning sign. In the end, Qing Yu's mother lost her footing and fell because she was in a hurry. By the time he was fished up again, he was already cold. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi hated their little sister to the core. She had lost her mother at such a young age, and had died just like that. It was not long before Qing Yu came back in one piece. How could he not be angry? How could he not hate him? Scram! Get lost! Get lost! Get lost! Now that our family is living well, Why did you come back? How could she have the face to come back? Wasn't it enough that he killed his mother? Do you want to kill my dad too? Lu Xian, get lost. You don't deserve to be surnamed Lu. Lu Ziyun's emotions were raging as he pointed at Qing Yu and scolded. Unlike Lu Qi, Lu Ziyun's relationship with his mother was the deepest. Lu Ziyun scolded Qing Yu because his mother's death was indirectly related to Qing Yu. Lu Qi hated Qing Yu as well, but the main reason she hated her was because she was afraid that Qing Yu would come back and steal her brother and father's love from her. The more Lu Ziyun spoke, the more resentful he felt. His face was flushed and he reached out to slap Qing Yu. Qing Yu did not resist. If one looked closely, her eyes were already wet. Chapter 604. Lu Ziyun's hand that was about to slap Qing Yu's cheek was stopped by Yun Jian. His expression was sour. Ce and the other two girls had come over as well. Ce held Xiao Yunju with one hand and placed the box of instant noodles on the floor with the other. Yun Yi placed the Wangzai milk on the floor as fast as he could. His brows were locked in a frown, having heard how Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi had spoken to Qing Yu. How could Yun Yi not be pissed when the person he missed was standing right in front of him and she was crying? Yun Yi went over and stood in front of Qing Yu, blocking Lu Ziyun's path. And who are you? Lu Ziyun's tone turned haughty when he saw Yun Jian out of the blue. Lu Ziyun gave off the vibe of a hooligan to begin with. Not to mention, there was a tattoo on his collarbone. Combined with the tattoo below his collarbone, it wasn't hard to tell that his tattoo was a dragon. Lu Ziyun was already 18 or 19 years old, but he had quit school long ago. Now, he was in Xian City's underworld, working with gangs and earning some money. Although Lu Ziyun looked like a gangster, he was not such a person to begin with, nor was he such a degenerate. Ever since his mother passed away in an accident, however, he had become what he was today. Lu Tai's hair had already turned white. After his youngest daughter, Lu Xian, went missing, he and his wife had been searching for her day and night. At the same time, they had to rely on their meager income to survive. His eldest son had fallen since his mother passed away and even picked up some bad habits. His eldest daughter was the only one who was somewhat obedient. Ever since his wife passed away, Lu Tai had not been living a peaceful life until today. It was then that his youngest daughter came back on her own. Here came the dilemma. He could forgive his youngest daughter for her ignorance when she was young, but his son and eldest daughter would not agree. What could Lu Tai do? As the child's parent, he was the most troubled. Sister Jian. Qing Yu could no longer hold back the tears in her eyes when she saw Yun Jian and Yun Yi, who suddenly appeared in front of her to shield her. Even Qing Yu, a high-ranking member of the kosher mercenaries, who could still stand calmly in front of Yun Jian and call them impudent, when facing the group of old men from the kosher mercenaries earlier, could not resist the friction of kinship. Don't cry, we're here. Yun Yi suddenly turned around. He reached out to gently wipe away the tears at the corner of Qing Yu's eyes. Qing Yu nodded. Actually, Qing Yu was already immune to the way Lu Ziyun and the others treated her. She knew that this was her own fault for being disobedient when she was young, and she should bear the consequences. Hence, Qing Yu had never retaliated against Lu Ziyun's scoldings and beatings. Her biological mother had also died because of her. Qing Yu was not a heartless person. However, when she saw Yun Jian and Yun Yi standing in front of her, especially when Yun Jian stood in front of her and said, "She's mine. How dare you hit her?" Qing Yu could not hold back her tears and they fell. I don't have *king care who you are. This is my family's business anyway. You outsiders are not allowed to butt in. Lu Ziyun guffawed. Ce was standing on the side, holding the hand of Xiao Yunju, who was shaking his head in bewilderment, but he did not say anything. It was not appropriate for him to intervene in such matters. Chapter 605. Other than his younger sister, Yun Jian, and his mother, Qin Yiru, this was the first time Yun Yi had cursed for a woman. Yun Yi had always been an excellent student. Whether it was in Xinjiang Town or DE Senior High School, he had always been a model student in his teachers' hearts. He had good grades, treated others sincerely, and was polite to others. However, he had broken his bottom line to protect Qing Yu from being bullied. If Yun Yi's best friend, Su Haokol, was here, he would probably be screaming in shock. After all, Yun Yi's usual personality had changed for Qing Yu's sake. What? Lu Ziyun's finger that was pointing at Qing Yu retracted immediately. He could not believe that Qing Yu had a man now. How old was she? Lu Xian. You have a man now? How old are you now? You're still in junior high? You're with a man. I say, why did you only stay here for a few days before leaving? So you ran away with a man. Off to live a good life. You despise our family now, don't you? Father and mother missed you so much that they couldn't even eat and drink. What about you? Why didn't you come back when you could? You killed my mother. You harmed our whole family. Why did you come back now? Scram. There's no such person in the Lu family. Scram. Lu Ziyun had completely misunderstood as he roared again. This time, he was even harsher to Qing Yu. Actually, Lu Ziyun had misunderstood something from the beginning. He hated Qing Yu for insisting that his mother bring her out to play, but she was about to be abducted. That was fine. It was not unforgivable. Lu Ziyun remembered clearly that when Qing Yu came back, she was dressed neatly and tidily. She did not look like she had been abducted by human traffickers at all. Lu Ziyun did not hate Qing Yu so much earlier. After all, she was still young when she was abducted. Lu Ziyun's hatred was because Qing Yu was dressed neatly when she came back. His mother had been so worried about finding Qing Yu and his younger sister who had been abducted at such a young age that she did not even eat or drink. In the end, she accidentally fell into the sewer that was still under construction and drowned. What about Qing Yu? She came back clean and tidy. Clean and tidy. She did not look like she had been through any hardships. This time, Lu Ziyun was thoroughly enraged. Since she was alive and well, living a lively life, unlike other abducted children who were missing arms and legs, why didn't they find her earlier? Why did they not come back earlier? If he had found her earlier, then his mother wouldn't have died. He wouldn't have gone to Xian City to look for her in the middle of the night just because he heard a rumor from the villagers. In the end, he tripped on a construction site and fell into the sewers and drowned. That was why Lu Ziyun was filled with hatred. He hated the fact that Qing Yu had destroyed his entire family after being abducted while she returned safely. Humans had emotions. To be honest, Lu Ziyun had never hated Qing Yu even when his mother died because he knew that his sister was innocent. He knew that she had no choice when she was abducted. However, when Qing Yu came back, she was dressed neatly. He asked her where she had been all these years but she did not say a word. Thus, Lu Ziyun was enraged. He hated this sister of his to the core. Just by looking at Qing Yu's attire, Lu Ziyun naturally thought that she had been enjoying herself all these years or that she had been adopted by a rich family. In short, he thought that she had never suffered. Chapter 606. Yun Yi held Qing Yu's hand gently. Qing Yu's hands were shaking uncontrollably. Whether it was Qing Yu, Yun Jian, or Ce and Yun Yi who were present, all of them could hear it. Lu Ziyun hated Qing Yu. He probably hated that she had been enjoying herself all these years. He hated that she was enjoying life while they were at home, worried that she would suffer outside. In the end, his mother had died searching for Qing Yu. What about Qing Yu? Their entire family was worried about their younger sister's life. Qing Yu, on the other hand, was enjoying life outside while nothing changed when she returned. To Lu Ziyun, however, he had lost his mother. His most beloved mother. Perhaps Lu Ziyun was not wrong to think so. If she were to put herself in Lu Ziyun's shoes, the mother he loved the most had left him forever because of his long-lost younger sister. Perhaps it was not a hopeless situation, but the worst part was that his younger sister had suddenly returned one day. She was dressed to the nines when she returned but refused to tell where she had been all these years. Under such circumstances, other than the fact that she had been enjoying life for so many years and only returned home because she missed home, what else could it be? Stop it! Stop it! Xiao Yun, for Dad's sake, please stop it. Lu Tai stretched out his hand, his face paralyzed in pain. To Lu Tai, his wife was the love of his life, but because of his younger daughter, they were separated by life and death. However, he did not resent it because his younger daughter was his own flesh and blood. How could he feel good when he saw how his son treated his younger daughter? Eldest uncle, second uncle, youngest uncle, this is the place. She has enjoyed her life outside and now she wants to go home. My mother must have died in vain. At this time, Lu Qi had returned with a large group of people. Other than the group of teenagers who had come to watch the show, there was also a group of adults who had followed Lu Qi back. Most of the adults were Lu Tai's relatives. Most of the relatives and friends in the countryside were from the countryside. Very few of them had left the countryside. There was only one way to leave the countryside in this era. Get into a university and get a decent and stable job in the future. Therefore, when Lu Qi ran out and shouted, all the relatives who were working in the fields came to the house. In particular, the villagers were united. A group of people immediately threw down their hoes and ran over before plowing the land. What happened? What's the matter? A middle-aged man who was standing at the front stepped forward arrogantly. Uncle, she's my younger sister, Lu Xian, whom I brought home not long ago. Look at what she's wearing. She must have enjoyed a good life all these years. My mother passed away while looking for her, but she's living a good life all these years. Now that she's back, she's begging for our forgiveness. Lu Qi glared at Qingyu with hatred. Qingyu opened her mouth, chilling her heart in front of this group of relatives who were originally close to her but were now glaring at her menacingly. I didn't. In the end, Qingyu could only utter such words. You're still denying it? Then why don't you tell me where you went after you were abducted? Other than enjoying life, what else can I do to you? Lu Qi pointed at Qingyu, unforgiving. Lu Ziyun glared at Qingyu with the same hateful gaze. Lu Tai's pained expression broke Qingyu's heart. These were her relatives. Shut up, all of you. None of you have the right to talk about her like that. Yun Jian reprimanded loudly. Her loud voice shocked everyone present. Don't have the right? How was she unworthy? She was just going to enjoy life. Humph. Lu Qi continued through clenched teeth. Yun Jian was enraged now. She had Yun Yi step back while she walked to Qingyu. She pulled Qingyu's delicate hand and showed everyone her arm that was covered in scars that should have been smooth and fair. Enjoy life? This is the first time I've heard that someone would be covered in scars while enjoying life. After exposing her arm, Yun Jian turned Qingyu around. She did not expose Qingyu's body as she tore her clothes from her back to reveal her back that was covered in scars and bruises. Scars from knives and spears were all over Qingyu's back. The new and old scars were mixed together, a ghastly sight. Chapter 607. Come to think of it, you guys don't deserve this blessing, Yun Jian said, her deep gaze scanning the crowd. With that, she pulled the corner of Qingyu's shirt down to cover her back again. Yun Jian did not want to do anything, but she could not bear to watch Lu Ziyun and the others misunderstand Qingyu and watch her suffer but unable to voice out her pain. Did she not know what was on Qingyu's mind? Of course. Qingyu dared not say it out loud. Was she going to say that she took so long to come back because she only had the capability now? Was it because she dared not come back? Qingyu had some influence and status in the world. Of course, the stronger one was in this world, the more enemies they had. If Qingyu came home before she was capable enough, Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and the others would probably be killed by the people in this world. It was because Qingyu did not have the ability to protect them at that time. Yes. How did this happen? Yun Yi was shocked by Qingyu's exposed scars as well. It was not because of her scars but because his heart ached at the sight of so many scars on Qingyu's body. Yun Yi had been naked with Qingyu before but Yun Yi dared not look at her directly. Moreover, most of Qingyu's scars were on her back. There were wounds on her arms too but not many. Therefore, it was Yun Yi's first time seeing so many scars. Ce did not look at Qingyu's back just now. In his eyes, other than his Xiao Jian, no other woman could catch his eye. He didn't even bother to look at her. Lu Tai was still lingering on the edge of pain and grief. To Lu Tai, his wife's death was a heavy blow. Now that his daughter was back, he was happy but other than that, it was not like he did not feel anything. Lu Tai was a human being as well. If he were to put himself in his shoes, his closest and most important person had passed away in search of his daughter who had been missing for years. In the end, his daughter came back a few years later, wearing branded clothes. It was obvious that she had not suffered much. When he asked her where she had been, she clenched her teeth and refused to say anything. Lu Tai would overthink as well, but the only difference between him and Lu Ziyun was that he would empathize with Qingyu. He would always think that Qingyu had her reasons. He would never believe that his own daughter would do something like that, to enjoy life on her own and only come back when she was homesick. As it turned out, Qingyu did have her reasons. When Yunjian exposed the scars on Qingyu's body, everyone present, they were shocked. The scars on Qingyu's back were so densely packed that it sent chills down one's spine just by looking at them. The scars on her back, around her heart, stab wounds after stab wounds to show how much she had tried her best to crawl from the brink of death and survive. Everyone's too. What kind of person was he to be able to survive the ordeal of receiving so many fatal injuries? How old was Qingyu? How much willpower did she rely on to not choose to die right away? How much inhumane treatment did she have to endure? Tears welled up in Lu Tai's old eyes. He opened his mouth and limped toward Qingyu, wobbling. It was a long time before he managed to speak. My Xiaox. How did this happen? My child, you've suffered. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke. Dad. For some reason, Qingyu felt like crying today. She had been in an assassin training camp and had been baptized as an assassin. All of this was before she met Yunjian. She had been shot and stabbed. Which time did she not grit her teeth and persevere through it? When had she ever shed a tear? Chapter 608. Qingyu hugged Lu Tai tightly. This was the warmth of kinship, the dissolution of misunderstandings. Qingyu was comforted after despair and regret. She could feel that although Lu Tai had resented her before, Lu Tai would not hate her because he was her father. Good child, you've suffered. Lu Tai's eyes were tear-stained, showing his age. Yunjian smiled, but there was a trace of bitterness in it. Had she not gone through the same thing? How could she not understand Qingyu's pain? Her body before she was reborn had suffered more injuries than Qingyu. Qingyu had only stayed in the assassin training camp for a few months before she was taken away by Snake Lizard. These few months were hell on earth. Yunjian, on the other hand, had survived for 6 to 7 years in the assassin training camp with her own abilities. It was only when she was 12 that she officially debuted as Slaying God. Before that, the assassin training that she had gone through was unimaginable to a normal person. The winner was king while the loser was a bandit. This was reflected in the assassin's training. If you were weak, you could only die. Among the hundreds of children, those who survived these 6 to 7 years could be counted with one hand. Yunjian was the strongest among the 5 who survived. She was the pinnacle of her ability. Yunjian only found out later that she had lost her parents and only had her younger brother. If she had parents, she would have gone back to them like Qingyu. Her predicament back then might have been worse than Qingyu's. However, when Yunjian in her past life returned home, her parents had already passed away, leaving only her younger brother, Yunju. As Yunjian pondered, Yunyi stood aside with clenched fists. He swore that he would never let Qingyu suffer again. He had to become stronger and protect her. However, Lu Ziyun, Lu Qi, the group of young men and women that Lu Qi had brought along, including the relatives that Lu Qi had called over, were all rooted to the spot in shock when they saw Qingyu's scar. They didn't make a sound, didn't speak because they were stunned. Lu Ziyun, in particular, was rooted to the spot. Lu Ziyun hated Qingyu, but it was not because she had been abducted by human traffickers when she was young. He hated it because his mother had died because of Qingyu and Qingyu had returned in all her glory, as if she had enjoyed enough and had returned to beg for forgiveness. Lu Ziyun admitted that his thoughts had been extreme because of his mother's death. However, when all the misunderstandings were cleared, his heart still ached. Lu Ziyun had memories of Qingyu before she was abducted. She was his biological sister after all. His mother was his dearest family and so was his sister. He still remembered that his mother had once said that apart from his parents, his 2 younger sisters were his closest relatives. Now that he saw Qingyu suffering so many injuries, his heart was pained as well. A person's heart was complicated. When he saw Qingyu's back that was filled with scars, Lu Ziyun could not bring himself to harden his heart. He walked slowly toward Qingyu but paused before asking, Lu Xan, what have you been doing all these years? Why did you injure yourself all over? There was an obvious change in Lu Ziyun's attitude. Of course, it was impossible for him to change completely after so many years of not seeing Qingyu and being used to treating her fiercely. Qingyu wiped away her silent tears, still hesitating if she should say it out loud. Chapter 609. The truth was that Lu Qi and her friends who did not look like good people shuddered when they saw the scars all over Qing Yu. To be able to endure such a heavy injury was indeed not something that an ordinary person could endure. Yet what was the point? From Lu Qi's perspective, her younger sister's return was to steal her brother and father's love. Since Qing Yu's return, her father Lu Tai had given her all the good food, treating her like a treasure, afraid that she would hurt herself. In fact, the reason Lu Tai treated Qing Yu so well was because he still felt guilty that his daughter had suffered a lot even after she had been abducted by human traffickers for so many years. He did not take good care of her back then. Lu Qi actually had no feelings for his younger sister, Qing Yu, at all. After all, Lu Qi was only a little over 10 years old when Qing Yu was abducted. She was only a year older than Qing Yu. A little over 10 years old was the age where one could remember things. From Lu Qi's perspective, her mother and father had always doted on her since she had a younger sister, giving her all the good food and toys when she was young. To be honest, Lu Qi had hated Qing Yu since she was young. It was also due to this reason that she did not feel upset when she found out that Qing Yu was abducted. Instead, she was secretly happy. Now that her younger sister was abducted, she could receive all the love from her parents. Reality proved this. After Qing Yu, who was also Lu Xian, was abducted, Lu Qi's parents doted on Lu Qi even though they had lost their appetite. It was because Lu Tai and his late wife realized that it was their fault for letting their younger daughter be abducted. Therefore, the only reason they insisted on staying alive was to take good care of their other daughter and their son. Lu Qi grew up under her parents' care. Although Luo village was a rural village and its economic development was backward, Lu Tai had never let his daughter and son suffer at all. Lu Ziyun had fallen from grace ever since his mother had passed away. Lu Tai had endured all these hardships with tears in his eyes. His wife was gone. If he were to degenerate as well, how could this family survive? When Qing Yu appeared, Lu Qi immediately felt that her father's love for her was threatened. Lu Tai took good care of her younger sister who seemed to have suffered for years outside, even giving her things to her long-lost sister. This made Lu Qi think that Qing Yu had returned to snatch away her happiness. Xiao Qi, shut up. How can you say such things? In fact, Lu Ziyun's heart ached when he saw the wound on Qing Yu's back. He could not help but growl at Lu Qi when he heard what Lu Qi said. Qing Yu Qing was his younger sister no matter what, his biological sister. Furthermore, Lu Ziyun had a long memory. He remembered the past between him and his little sister. There were feelings. Even when he had yelled at Qing Yu to get lost, Lu Ziyun had never insulted Qing Yu with words that could easily be misunderstood in front of everyone. Lu Qi's to say that Qing Yu, you're not innocent. Among the children who were abducted by human traffickers, some of the beautiful girls would be abducted and become prostitutes at a young age, earning money by accompanying customers. This had happened many times in Luo village. Was this not what Lu Qi was referring to when she said that Qing Yu was involved in an illegal business? Anyone with a discerning eye would know that. Lu Ziyun was displeased with Qing Yu before, but after seeing the scars on Qing Yu's back, he began to change. That was why he yelled at Lu Qi to shut up. Chapter 610. If she hadn't been so playful when she was young and insisted on going out to play, would she have been abducted by human traffickers? Would our mother have died so innocently? Brother, what's wrong with you? Why are you speaking up for her? Lu Qi glared at Qing Yu angrily before gritting her teeth at Lu Ziyun. The wounds on Qing Yu's back and hands did not prove anything. The people present would not even think that Qing Yu's wounds were left behind when she was an assassin or when she was on a mission. Luo village only had a few hundred families. The population was small. It was rare for Luo village's people to make a trip to Xian City, especially at the end of the 90s when transportation was gradually being developed and public transportation was available. However, how could one make a trip from Luo village to Xian City or even a long journey without money? The people of Luo village relied on farming to support their families. All their wealth came from selling the harvests in the fields and gradually accumulating it. Therefore, in comparison, the people of Luo village did not know much. They knew what assassins and secret agents were, but the villagers of Luo village would never have guessed that Qing Yu was abducted to be trained as an assassin. In comparison, the closest thing to reality was what Lu Qi said. Qing Yu was indeed beautiful. Although Qing Yu had a baby face, her features were delicate and delicate. Her nose bridge was high, and her small face had a unique charm to it. If the people present were to explain the scars on Qing Yu's body, the most convincing explanation for what Qing Yu had been doing during her disappearance was that she was working as a prostitute in a brothel. It was not like there was no precedent for a girl in the village being abducted. Moreover, Qing Yu was beautiful and covered in wounds. Girls who were sold to brothels would be beaten if they were disobedient. Some would even be beaten until their flesh was torn apart. Some customers with strong tastes would not even see these girls as human beings. Qing Yu was consistent with this. She refused to say what she had been doing during the time she was abducted. If she had been in a brothel and engaged in shady business for so many years, it would be strange if she was willing to talk about it. Therefore, the way most of the people present looked at Qing Yu had changed. There were even a few people who looked at Yun Jian with the same disdain. They were still thinking, since Yun Jian and Qing Yu are friends, they must be the same. What a pity that these two beauties actually came from a brothel. They must be the kind of women that could be ridden by tens of thousands of men. Thinking of this, all the men present looked at Qing Yu and Yun Jian with unfriendly gazes. Some of them even thought, if I were to play with these two prostitutes who are ridden by tens of thousands of men, it would really be ecstasy. Lu Qi was still fighting with Lu Ziyun. Standing beside Yun Jian, Ce, who was also a man, could clearly feel the gazes of the surrounding men staring at his woman with ill intentions. Ce's eyes immediately darkened as he frowned. Especially when he felt the gazes sizing up Yun Jian's beautiful body. Ce pulled Yun Jian behind him with a frown. After avoiding the gazes, Ce looked up to meet the men who were staring at Yun Jian earlier. He then swept his domineering aura across the place and shouted at the men, "You're the one who's being bullied." Chapter 6:11. Lu Ziyun had no intention of humiliating Qing Yu in front of everyone. Such a thought had never crossed his mind. She was his sister after all. Lu Qi's words earlier had caused Lu Ziyun to frown. Initially, he had wanted to persuade Lu Qi to stop talking so much. Before he could say anything though, the group of uncles who were called over by Lu Qi and the old bachelors in the village who were here to watch the show were all staring at Yun Jian lecherously. They did not look at Qing Yu with lewd eyes because she was Lu Tai's daughter after all. Even if they wanted to, she was still Lu Tai's daughter. Yun Jian was different though. Everyone thought that Qing Yu must have been sold into a brothel. Yun Jian must be the sister that Qing Yu met in the brothel. She must be a prostitute who was ridden by thousands of men. Women earned money by spreading their thighs was the fastest way. That was what the men thought. It further convinced them that Qing Yu and Yun Jian were from a brothel. After all, Qing Yu was abducted when she was young. Even if she was adopted by a kind soul, how could she wear branded clothes when she came home? She looked like she came from a rich family. Only by earning money in that way could a young girl like her afford branded clothes. Yun Jian, who knew about Qing Yu's injury, must be the same as Qing Yu. Therefore, Lu Qi's uncles and the old bachelors who were here to watch the show were all looking at Yun Jian lecherously. They could not touch Qing Yu, but it did not mean that they could not touch her friend. Moreover, Yun Jian was exquisite and beautiful, even prettier than Qing Yu. This made the group of old bachelors present feel their hearts itch. Even if they had wives and children at home, their eyes would change color when they looked at Yun Jian. Some of the old bachelors in Luo village could not find a wife because they were poor. There were plenty of such people in the village. It was not surprising to see them. The old bachelors in Luo village had one thing in common. They were gluttonous and lazy. It was precisely because they were gluttonous and lazy that their families were so poor that they naturally had no money to marry a wife. These people were only here to watch the show, but once they heard it, they really imagined Qing Yu and Yun Jian to be that kind of person. Therefore, they did not hold back with their words. A short, bald-headed man with a limp spoke in front of Ce, his tone dripping with arrogance. "Young man, are you crazy? Is this woman your woman?" Ha! Ha ha! I looked at her tender breasts. Those breasts, they're really plump. They're probably the result of being pampered, right? Since this is your woman, young man, let's make a deal. Since your woman is for sale, why don't you let me play with her? I'll give you money. This short old bachelor was only 1.55 meters tall, shorter than Yun Jian. He was considered short among men. Looking at Yun Jian, his heart had long been itching. Now that he said such words, it was even more disgusting. Even Lu Ziyun, who had just improved his attitude towards Qing Yu, could not help frowning when he heard it. Siyi's eyes darkened when he heard the short old bachelor's words. His murderous intent rose. He could not even bear to touch his own woman. Was this old man seeking death? Fine, he would fulfill his wish. Siyi pulled out his pistol from his belt. The silver pistol was suddenly taken out and pointed at the short old bachelor. Siyi's lips curled into a murderous smirk. You can die now. Chapter 6:12. It was Lu Ziyun's quarrel with Qing Yu, but because of Lu Qi's words, the group of old bachelors misunderstood. Lu Ziyun stopped his quarrel with Lu Qi and panicked. He had a feeling that something was going to happen. Qing Yu was already standing beside Lu Tai. No matter what others thought of her, she did not care as long as her father believed in her. However, she did not expect that this was not the end of it. This group of old bachelors who came to watch the show would mock Yun Jian. Qing Yu was aware of Siyi's protectiveness. Qing Yu knew that Siyi cared about Yun Jian beyond that. In Qing Yu's opinion, Siyi was the kind of person who would risk his life for Yun Jian. How dare this old bachelor talk about Yun Jian and insult Yun Jian in such a tone? Qing Yu wanted to kill him too, let alone Siyi. It was just that Siyi was more direct. Siyi was the leader of an Hun group. He had always done things in a straightforward manner and never held back. Of course, he knew where they were, but he also knew that these people from Luo village were unreasonable. If he did not show his true abilities, these people from Luo village would not be afraid of causing trouble. However, no one present expected Siyi, who had been silent earlier, to suddenly pull out a gun when Yun Jian was being verbally insulted. That was a real gun. What was more terrifying was that he actually dared to shoot. Ah! It's a gun! Lu Qi, who had been confident earlier, was completely shocked when she saw Siyi pull out a gun. Everyone at the scene was completely dumbfounded. The short old bachelor who had slandered Yun Jian was so shocked that he stood rooted to the ground, unable to move. With a loud bang, Siyi had already fired. However, just as Siyi fired, Yun Jian suddenly reached out to block it and gently shifted Siyi's aim. Siyi was not guarded against Yun Jian at all. His love for her was true. Even if Yun Jian were to kill him now, he would not hate her. If it had been in the beginning when Siyi had no feelings for Yun Jian, he would not have done this. However, even if Yun Jian wanted to kill him now, he would not stop her. Because he would do whatever she wanted, as long as it was what she wanted. As a result, the shot missed the short old bachelor and hit a pile of sand and stones in the distance that was going to be used to build a house. The old bachelor, who had just narrowly escaped death, was drenched in cold sweat. Why is there a gun here? Isn't it forbidden to carry guns now? The other old bachelor standing beside the short old bachelor was so scared that he shouted out loud. The short old man had also touched a gun when he was young. In the early years, before the country banned the use of handguns, many people had guns in their hands. Most of the men present had more or less touched guns when they were young. Therefore it was not strange for them to have guns. When the short old man saw that Yun Jian had pushed the bullet away for him, he did not realize that he had just escaped death. Instead, he became even more complacent. He touched his bald head and thought that Yun Jian had been attracted by his good looks. He looked at Yun Jian and said in front of Siyi, "Yo, little girl, you have good taste. How about it? Do you want to have sex with me? I'm definitely stronger than any man you've slept with before." As soon as he said this, Siyi pointed the gun in his hand at the short old man's forehead. However, Yun Jian covered Siyi's slender hand. Everyone present was terrified. They thought that Yun Jian was afraid that something would happen. Chapter 6:13. Just as Yun Jian finished speaking, Siyi suddenly put an arm around her and stopped her from moving. Xiao Yunju was standing beside Siyi. When Siyi was about to pull the trigger, he reached out with his slender fingers and covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. At this moment, Siyi was holding Yun Jian with one arm and not covering Xiao Yunju's eyes with the other. Xiao Yunju was very obedient, but he was still confused. Sister, what do you mean by living a life worse than death? Our teacher said that being alive means being alive, but why should we die if we're alive? Isn't that a contradiction? Xiao Yunju cracked his little fingers and couldn't think of an answer after pondering for a long time. Hence he asked this question. The tense atmosphere just now was soothed by Yun Zhu's light-hearted question. Especially when Yun Jian said that she wanted the short old bachelor to live a life worse than death. Her tone and ruthless tone when she spoke just now. When everyone heard this, the short old bachelor's miserable state surfaced in their minds. Look after Xiao Zhu. You don't have to do anything today. Ce held Yun Jian's waist with one arm and looked straight at the short old bachelor with his deep, hawk-like, domineering eyes as he spoke to Yun Jian. These words warmed Yun Jian's heart. Okay, Yun Jian replied softly. When Ce said this, his tone was neither cold nor warm, and there was no expression on his face. But because of this, everyone present felt that his indifferent handsome face, coupled with his slender fingers holding the gun in his hand, gave him an indescribable domineering aura. His domineering aura also gave off a chilling vibe. Brother, who is he? How can he have a gun? Lu Qi stood beside Lu Ziyun. She had been arguing with Lu Ziyun arrogantly earlier, but now she dared not utter a single word when she saw the gun in Siyi's hand. Lu Qi, shut up. All of a sudden, Lu Ziyun recalled that this whole incident had started because of Lu Qi's unreasonable words. Lu Ziyun was still a smart person, and he quickly reprimanded Lu Qi. Brother, you're being mean to me again. You've never been this mean to me before. Humph, it's all because of her. Because she's back, all of you treat me badly and don't want me anymore. Lu Qi did not know that Lu Ziyun was doing this for her own good. She glared at Qing Yu with hatred as she spoke to Lu Ziyun. At this moment, Yun Jian had already covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. Ce was already walking toward the short old bachelor. You! What are you trying to do? The short old bachelor was suddenly intimidated by Ce's aura. He had thought that he would be fine earlier, but now he was shivering. In spite of this, the short old bachelor refused to lose face in front of so many people. He still held his head high. Although the short old bachelor raised his head, his 1.55 meters height was nothing compared to Ce, who was 1.85 meters tall. Just as the old bachelor could not help taking 3 steps back in fright, Ce suddenly straddled his long legs and grabbed the man's collar, lifting him up effortlessly before he spoke in a neutral tone. What's wrong with you? Do you know the consequences of trying to lay a finger on my woman? Ce's words sent a shiver down everyone's spine. What is it? The short old bachelor looked rather comical as he was lifted up by Ce in the air. Ce suddenly flung the short old bachelor away. While he was in mid-air, he raised his gun and aimed at the short old bachelor's groin and fired a shot. Bang! Chapter 6:14. The shot landed squarely on the short old man's manhood. After being flung away by Ce, the short old man's manhood was hit with a loud bang by Ce's shot. After a second of silence, a howl that sounded like a pig being slaughtered echoed through the clouds. Ah! Mang! Mang! What followed was the short old man rolling on the ground with his hands covering his crotch. Everyone present was stunned by Ce's sudden action. Ah! Brother, he really shot. Lu Qi was shocked by the sudden gory scene. She quickly covered her eyes, her hands still trembling violently. To Lu Qi, this was no doubt the scariest thing she had ever seen in her life. She knew this short old man as well. He was the role model of the village's lazy gluttony. Lu Qi still remembered that every time he passed by this short old bachelor's house, the way the short old bachelor looked at him was very disgusting. It was disgusting, but now that she saw a familiar face rolling on the ground with his hands covering his bloody crotch, his expression was one of unbearable agony. Lu Qi was frightened to death, especially when she saw the bloody scene from afar. Although Lu Qi grew up in a village, she had never seen blood. Both her parents treated her like the apple of their eye. Although their family's conditions were a little poor, Lu Tai would work himself to death and never let Lu Qi suffer even a little bit. Therefore, Lu Qi's fright was not to be underestimated. Lu Ziyun was frightened as well. He had never seen such a gory scene either. Chills ran down his spine, but he still caressed Lu Qi's head, protecting her from the fear alone. This was a brother's love for his sister. At the same time, Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu and his old father with a pale face. Actually, ever since he saw Qing Yu's wounds, even if Qing Yu was really from a brothel, even if Qing Yu was really unbearable, Lu Ziyun had already decided to acknowledge Qing Yu as his sister. He hated Qing Yu because he thought she was enjoying herself and did not come home earlier, causing his mother's death. However, Now that the misunderstanding had been cleared up, Lu Ziyun was not a bad person. He planned to slowly forgive Qing Yu. Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu because he was afraid that Qing Yu would be afraid of witnessing such a gory scene. Unexpectedly, when Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu, what he saw was Qing Yu's normal face that was not at all frightened by the horrifying scene in front of him. Why wasn't his sister afraid at all? Lu Ziyun was doubtful. You actually dared to shoot. You're going to be caught. An old bachelor who saw what was happening pointed at Ce in fright, clutching his crotch as he exclaimed. Caught. Ce fiddled with the gun. His slender fingers hooked onto the gun firmly. His handsome face was illuminated by the winter sunset. Then he gently flicked his hair, revealing a beautiful yet arrogant smile. He said to the old bachelor, I want to see which one of you has the guts to capture me. His tone was insolent and arrogant. However, he had the right to do so. Just as Ce finished his words, he put his gun away and left the short old bachelor rolling on the ground to fend for himself. Yun Jian was standing not far away. He put his gun away as he walked and soon reached Yun Jian, wrapping an arm around Yun Jian's slim waist in front of everyone. You, how dare you hurt people like this? Everyone's opinion of Yun Jian and the rest had changed completely. If Yun Jian was really from a brothel, how could she be so insolent? In other words, it was impossible for Qing Yu. Therefore, everyone was doubtful about the identities of Yun Jian, Qing Yu, and the others. Chapter 6:15. If she dared to kill someone, what else would she not dare to do? Yun Jian's words caused panic among the crowd, especially the group of old bachelors who saw Yun Jian as a woman for sale. They were now looking at Yun Jian in disbelief, trembling in fear. Although Yun Jian was not the one who fired the shot, the way Ce pampered Yun Jian was enough to shock everyone present. The short old bachelor who had just lost his manhood had only spoken a few words about Yun Jian, but Ce had already crippled his manhood. Under such oppressive circumstances, who would dare to make a sound? If this wasn't courting death, then what was? As for the short old bachelor who was rolling on the ground with his hands covering his crotch, no one wanted to bother with him. After all, this short old bachelor was not a good person. However, it would not be good if someone died. Therefore, some of the older and more experienced people went over to help the short old bachelor up and headed to the only old clinic in Luo village. Those who were there to watch the show dispersed. What a joke! Who would be willing to be like that short old bachelor and watch a show, only to end up losing his manhood? What else could it be if not the loss outweighed the gain? Therefore, the crowd dispersed after a short while. In the end, even Lu Qi's group of friends left the place. They were practically running away. Xiaofan, who are these friends of yours? Lu Tai asked Qing Yu as he glanced at Ce and Yun Jian fearfully after everyone had left. Lu Tai was a farmer who had lived in Luo village his whole life and had not seen much of the world. Therefore, he felt a sense of fear when he saw Yun Jian and Ce. Dad! Qing Yu wiped her lips and glanced at Yun Yi, about to reply to Lu Tai when Lu Tai interrupted her. A voice that was louder than Qing Yu's came through. Dad! Look at her. What kind of friends does she have? How could they beat someone up like that? We're done for. What if they come looking for us? We can't afford it with our family's condition. Lu Qi's exaggerated voice drowned out the words that Qing Yu wanted to blurt out. Humph. We didn't hurt him anyway. So many people in our village saw it. If anything happens, it's their fault. As Lu Qi spoke, she pointed at Yun Jian and Ce with her not-so-slender and rather plump fingers. It's all on me, Qing Yu said bitterly, lowering her gaze after Lu Qi spoke. Xiaofan. Lu Tai's pain was unbearable. He finally found his youngest daughter who had suffered outside for so many years, but his other children were at odds with her. There was nothing more difficult to deal with than this. Dad, it's fine. Qing Yu turned to smile at Lu Tai, her expression forced. Qing Yu knew now that it was difficult, extremely difficult, for her to reconcile with her brother and sister. However, her father would not. Even if she had indirectly caused her mother's death, she was Lu Tai's biological daughter after all. Xiaofan, I've let you suffer. Lu Tai said tearfully as he patted the back of Qing Yu's hand with his aged hand. Lu Xan, there's no one around now. Tell us, What have you been doing all these years? Lu Ziyun asked Qing Yu again when he saw that there was no one around. His tone when he spoke to Qing Yu was no longer as irascible as before. Qing Yu's lips were pursed as she lowered her gaze before turning to Yun Jian. Chapter 6:16. After all, Qing Yu was a higher-up in kosher mercenaries. To be honest, her identity was an absolute secret. Kosher Mercenaries was an international mercenary group, and as a higher-up in Kosher Mercenaries, Qing Yu's identity had to be kept a secret. Of course, Qing Yu wanted to be honest with Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and the rest purely because they were her family, her closest kin. To be honest was to clear up misunderstandings. There were a few levels of honesty. The first was to come clean about everything. The other was to only reveal her identity as an assassin. Although the meaning was more or less the same, it was clearly inappropriate to reveal Qing Yu's true identity. After all, Qing Yu was a higher-up in Kosher Mercenaries, and Kosher Mercenaries had its own rules. The rules were set by Yun Jian, and even Yun Jian herself could not easily break them, let alone Qing Yu. Yun Jian was protective, but she would not relent when it came to her bottom line. Lu Ziyun was puzzled by Qing Yu's turn to look at Yun Jian. Lu Ziyun was no fool.
Naturally, he could tell from the interaction between Qing Yu and Yun Jian that Yun Jian and Qing Yu must be related in some way.
As for what they were related to each other, no one could say for sure. Unless Qing Yu came clean. Xiaofan, it's all right now. We're at home. Dad didn't have the ability to find you and let you suffer outside. Dad will take care of you from now on. Dad will never let anyone bully Xiaofan. Dad. Lu Tai thought that Qing Yu did not want to talk about the past. His aged face was bleak. He spoke continuously, but halfway through, tears welled up in his eyes. Lu Tai even wiped away his tears with his dry old hand.
Seeing that Qing Yu refused to tell him where she had been all these years, Lu Tai could confirm one thing. His Xiaofan had indeed suffered a lot.
Dad, it's not your fault. It's not Mom's either. If anything, it's my own fault for being playful when I was young. Qing Yu stood beside Lu Tai, her heart aching as she patted his back lightly to comfort him. Say it, Yun Jian suddenly spoke up just as Qing Yu was about to keep her mouth shut. Qing Yu's hand that was soothing Lu Tai's emotions paused abruptly as she turned to look at Yun Jian in surprise. Sister Jian. It's better to make certain things clear, Yun Jian said to Qing Yu with a smile. If it was the Yun Jian from her past life, she would never have supported Qing Yu's confession. In the past life, slaying God was unintentional. In her previous life, even when her younger brother died, it was inevitable for her to be sad, but it was not to the extent that she would die. But after her rebirth, after such a long period of time together, Yun Jian discovered that there could be such deep affection between people. There wasn't a single person who didn't yearn for kinship. In her previous life, Yun Jian yearned for kinship, but what she yearned for was perhaps only kinship, the feeling of being cared for. Not that person. Until now, Xiao Yunzhu, Qin Yiru, and Yun Yi had completely integrated into her life. She understood what kinship was. She also understood that none of them could be replaced by others. Qing Yu nodded solemnly after getting Yun Jian's permission. Seeing that Qing Yu was going to come clean, even Yun Yi could not help pricking up her ears. Lu Ziyun was even more focused. Lu Qi was the only one who didn't seem to care at all. Chapter 6:17. When I was abducted back then, I was brought to a small island. Later, I realized that there were at least a few hundred children who were abducted like me. Qing Yu paused when she said this, as if she could still recall the fear she felt back then. I was scared, very scared, but I couldn't cry. Dad, I still remember when I was young, you said that if one day I forgot the way home, I must stand there and wait for you, because you will definitely find me. No matter where I am, you will come and find me. Qing Yu reached out to hold Lu Tai's old palm when she said this. Before Qing Yu was abducted, Lu Tai loved his youngest daughter dearly. He was a true farmer. When he worked in the fields, he would bring his youngest daughter along and tell her stories. As he told more stories, Lu Tai would talk about principles that little Qing Yu could not understand. He was not educated, but he knew a lot of principles after living for so long. However, this was the only thing that Qing Yu understood. Perhaps many parents would remind their children to be safe, but to Qing Yu, what her father told her was the truth that she would remember for the rest of her life. Tears trickled down from the corner of Qing Yu's eyes.
She continued under everyone's gaze. I stood there all the time, not daring to go too far.
Then, some children ran away out of fear. When a child took the lead and ran, a group of children followed. But that was a small island. Other than the island, there was an endless ocean around. The group of children who ran away were all killed by a group of men carrying machine guns. Their bodies were also dragged away. All the bodies of the children who ran away were fed to the wolves. Qing Yu's tone was slowly returning to normal. After that, they started training us children who didn't run away. 4 months, we trained day and night. It was also there that I learned how to kill. Qing Yu raised both her hands as she spoke. Lu Qi's legs were already trembling when she heard Qing Yu talk about how she killed without any fluctuation in her tone, as if killing a person was as simple as having a meal. Dad, I think you should know. That's right. It's an assassin organization and I'm an assassin. Qing Yu paused. However, my luck was very good. I stayed in the organization for a few months and met Master. Master took me away from that terrifying place. Otherwise, I would have been a cold corpse by now. If Snake Lizard had not taken Qing Yu away back then, Qing Yu would not have been able to escape from that place with her ability alone. She did not have Yun Jian's skills nor Yun Jian's ability. Qing Yu's skills could only be considered above average. If Qing Yu had been like Yun Jian, she would not have been able to leave the assassin organization alive. This was because out of hundreds of people, only a few had survived. Qing Yu stopped there. She did not tell Lu Tai and the rest that she had been following Yun Jian ever since. Qing Yu knew that Yun Jian did not want to expose her identity. Assassin? Xiao Xian. These wounds on your body, there. Lu Tai's eyes widened as he stared at Qing Yu in disbelief with his mouth agape. I was stabbed by someone. There's also a gunshot wound.
Qing Yu did not hide it since she had already revealed it.
Lu Xing Yu. Lu Ziyun was speechless from Qing Yu's words. His sister, the sister that he thought had returned in glory, had gone through such pain. Chapter 6:18. The kidnapped sister was not sold to a prostitute's brothel, nor was she crippled and left to beg on the streets. Both of these were common occurrences in the real world. There were even quite a number of children from Luo village who were abducted. By the time their parents found their children, they were already crippled. How could a girl who had been a prostitute get married? Which one of the crippled beggars on the streets was not missing an arm or a leg? How would they live in the future? Some of them were even blinded. These were nothing more than human traffickers' tactics to gain sympathy from passers-by. These detestable human traffickers did not destroy a person but a family's happiness. However, these were not Qing Yu's experiences. She had gone to a place even crueler. An assassin's organization. Perhaps they had been abducted to become prostitutes, or perhaps they had been crippled and forced to beg on the streets. It was unfortunate, but at least this group of people was still alive. What about an assassin's organization? This was a place where the winner was king and the loser was a bandit. If one did not have the ability, one would die. In an assassin's organization, there were hundreds of children but only a few of them survived until the end. Sometimes there were not even 3 of them who survived. Yet his sister had been kidnapped to such a place. Lu Ziyun's heart skipped a beat. It was also in this second that his hatred for Qing Yu was completely set aside. He hated her because he thought that Qing Yu did not want to go home because she was enjoying life all these years, but when he knew what she had been through, as her brother, Lu Ziyun's heart still ached. This was his sister after all. My Xiao Xian, you've suffered. It's all Dad's fault. I couldn't find you and didn't keep my promise. It's Dad's fault, it's Dad's fault. Lu Tai's soul almost left his body when he heard Qing Yu's story. He thumped his chest and yelled at himself for being useless. He really did not expect his younger daughter to be kidnapped and sent to an assassin's organization. Those who entered a place like that would die without a doubt. Dad, didn't I come back alive? Dad, don't blame yourself. If it weren't for you telling me to wait for you at the same spot when we got separated, I would have been running around with those kids. Qing Yu quickly grabbed Lu Tai's hand and comforted him. If Qing Yu had run around like the other children, she would have died on the spot. As expected, Lu Tai's emotions calmed down at once when Qing Yu said that. Yun Jian scanned everyone's expression and realized that Lu Ziyun had completely cleared up his misunderstanding of Qing Yu. As for Lu Qi, she was Qing Yu's elder sister. At this moment, Lu Qi's heart was filled with complicated emotions. Lu Qi had always thought that Qing Yu's return was to snatch her father and brother's love away from her, but she still felt a twinge of pain when she knew what her sister had gone through. To Lu Qi, her younger sister Qing Yu had snatched away all her childhood love. When her younger sister was abducted, Lu Qi was indeed vaguely happy because her love for her had returned. However, there was also a sense of emptiness in her heart, as if something was missing. Lu Qi had always had a sharp tongue. No matter how hurtful her words were, no one would dare to claim second place if she claimed to be the best. So Dad, we must live together as a family from now on. Qing Yu flashed a bitter smile. Lu Tai nodded heavily, touched. Chapter 6:19. Yun Yi's voice rang out, startling everyone present. They then recalled how Yun Yi had claimed that Qing Yu was his woman in front of everyone to protect Qing Yu. Was he not joking earlier? To be honest, Lu Tai really thought that Yun Yi was joking earlier. After all, to Lu Tai, a young man like Yun Yi was quite outstanding. Yun Yi was handsome and seemed like a nice person. One look and one would know that he was a reliable person. Of course, Lu Tai would not associate his youngest daughter with Yun Yi. Based on the situation earlier, Lu Tai would have thought that Yun Yi had claimed that Qing Yu was his woman because they were friends and that Yun Yi was only trying to support Qing Yu. However, just as he was enjoying himself with his youngest daughter and everyone's mood was getting better, Yun Yi suddenly spoke. Did he really have something going on with his youngest daughter? After all, he did not watch Qing Yu grow up. With a frown, Lu Tai began studying Yun Yi carefully. Xiaofan. He is. Lu Tai pointed at Yun Yi who was standing not far away from Yun Jian and asked Qing Yu. Dad. He's my friend's brother. Qing Yu knew that Lu Tai did not care about her past at all. She held his hand affectionately with a smile and told him. Yun Jian was the friend Qing Yu mentioned. Even if they were blind, they could tell that Yun Jian was her friend. In spite of it, Qing Yu's words made Yun Yi choke. What did she say? Did she just say that he was her friend's brother? That was all? Friend's brother? We've slept together and you're saying that I'm your friend's brother? Once Yun Yi heard her, he went to Qing Yu and grabbed her slender wrist without exerting much force. He could not bear to hurt Qing Yu if he used too much force. Pfft. When Yun Jian heard her brother's words, she couldn't help but laugh on the spot. Following Yun Jian's smile, the atmosphere was lifted from the tense atmosphere just now. What are you talking about? Qing Yu's eyes bulged, refusing to admit it. However, when she heard Yun Yi's words, warmth flowed through Qing Yu's heart. Say what? Do I need to repeat myself? We are already sleeping in the same bed. What do you think is our relationship? Yun Yi also directly threw away the burden of being a gentleman and became a robber for once. His purpose of coming here was obvious as well, to woo Qing Yu. Qing Yu could not retort. She pouted and turned to Lu Tai. Dad, look at how he's bullying me. Lu Tai was speechless. Qing Yu turned to Yun Jian and said coquettishly, Sister Jian, your brother is bullying me. You have to help me. Caressing Xiao Yunju's head, Yun Jian looked away but said, I didn't see anything. Qing Yu was speechless. Brat, how dare you bully Lu, my younger sister? Lu Ziyun suddenly went up and grabbed Yun Yi's collar, asking like a ruffian. Qing Yu's eyes glinted in shock when he suddenly called her his younger sister. I'll take responsibility. Yun Yi, who was grabbed by the collar, did not fight back as he said seriously. Just as the mood of the group turned for the better, a group of menacing people walked over with hoes in their hands, looking menacing. It's them. They're the ones who ruined Lao San's manhood. Chapter 6:20. The short old bachelor who had just been shot by CE was surnamed Wang. Everyone in the village called him Bachelor Wang. Bachelor Wang was not the first old man in Luo village to be a bachelor. There were more bachelor men in Luo village than men who were able to get married and have children. What was the reason for this? There was actually a reason. Luo village had been a poor and destitute village since ancient times. Since ancient times, this place was especially prone to drought. The farmers could not afford to grow crops, and the rain was scarce. There was little rain in all 4 seasons. And Luo village's ancestors had passed down a preference for boys over girls. In the eyes of most families in Luo village, there was an absolute difference between giving birth to a boy and a girl. Giving birth to a boy was for their retirement. Giving birth to a girl, a married daughter, was like spilled water. Therefore, everyone said that a daughter was a waste of money. And Luo village was such a feudal place. Over time, Luo village developed a habit. Every family had to give birth to a son before they were willing to give up. This also led to an indirect problem. In Luo village, there were too few girls compared to boys. As a result, there was only 1 girl among 3 or 4 boys. Luo village was poor to begin with. It was basically impossible to get a wife from outside. And the ratio of men to women in Luo village had been unbalanced for a long time. Until now, there were not many girls in Luo village at all. Even the girls in Luo village would marry outside. So what would these boys do when they grew up? In the end, they would be like Bachelor Wang and be single for the rest of their lives. The group of old women in the village who favored boys over girls would gather together. Some would even chatter and scold Luo village for being so outstanding. But the women outside were not willing to marry into Luo village. But they had completely forgotten. Luo village favored boys over girls. How could the daughter-in-law who married in have a good life? When this group of old women favored boys over girls, they also neglected an essential question. Were you a man or a woman? And when the feudal tradition was passed down from generation to generation, this group of stupid people did not realize this at all. This directly led to the current situation. Luo village was full of bachelors. There was a large group of people like Bachelor Wang, who could not even touch a finger of a woman in their lifetime. And when these people gathered together, they began to call each other brothers. The dozen or so people who rushed in with hoes were all old bachelors in the village, and they were all Bachelor Wang's brothers. This group of people even arranged their own ranks, calling themselves boss, second boss, and third boss. They even gave their own group a nickname, Bachelor's Alliance. This group of people also liked to talk about loyalty. Previously, a group of people in the village carried Wang Xingluan out, and it was in the hands of this group of people who called Wang Xingluan brothers. As a matter of fact, this group of people immediately came here with hoes to cause trouble. This group of old bachelors were all people who did not have a family, so they had nothing to worry about. In Luo village, they were also the kind of people who dared to do anything. A group of people walked into Lu Tai's courtyard in a grandiose manner. Standing at the front was an old man with a height of 1.8 meters. People called him Brother Hu, and it was said that he mingled in the streets of Xian City. Brother Hu was the boss of this group of people. But he was not alone. The reason why Brother Hu was so arrogant was because he was a member of Xian City's black market gang. Moreover, he was in existence with some status. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.